Pirate Software, otherwise known as Maldavius Figtree or Jason Thor Hall, is a vile wretch who has built his career on a comically unearned arrogance that is partly built on the achievements of his father, but primarily a false representation of his own capabilities that he continues to push to this day. As I'll outline throughout this video, the recent wave of hate, or harassment as you would call it, is completely self-inflicted, and the actions he proceeded to quintuple down on are most definitely what earned him his place in the Nightmare Blunt rotation. So without further ado, for those of you who are fortunate enough to have not heard of this guy, let me outline what initially put him on a lot of people's maps.
Top of the morning to you ladies, my name is Jacksepticeye and welcome to a game called Heartbound, which I think is supposed to be a mix kind of Undertale and kind of Earthboundy, or at least emulating their styles in that type of game, which, you know, I love immensely, so I wanted to try it out.
Jacksepticeye, apparently. So for context, Pirate Software has a game by the name of Heartbound that he's been developing since about 2017. Notably, the game is still in development, which is something that I will address later, but regardless, Pirate Software sent an early access build of the game to Jacksepticeye, which Jack proceeded to make a video about that now sits at around 2.2 million views. Seeing the opportunity, Pirate Software capitalized on the exposure and began streaming the development of the game on Twitch and YouTube. What truly skyrocketed his career, however, was when he began posting YouTube shorts on January 17th of 2022. These shorts are still massively successful, receiving millions of views pretty consistently. However, it was throughout 2023 and 2024 that he was receiving tens of millions of views a video. If your experience with Pirate Software is at all like mine, then this is around the time that he became unavoidable because he was being spammed in the shorts shelf that keeps fucking coming back despite the fact that I already clicked the show less button, and because he was being cited by larger creators such as Asmongold before he became the largest political streamer on Twitch for some reason. One of the notable shorts to receive over 10 million views was this one in which he talked about his father.
No, my dad didn't inspire the WoW guy from South Park. My dad is the WoW guy from South Park. He was the cinematic director for Blizzard for 23 years. He worked on the episode with Matt and Trey, and they turned him into a character. That's him. Yeah, that's actually him. Yeah. It's not a joke. That's not like a similarity. Like, that's him. This is his apartment. This is him. Even the guy that cosplayed my dad didn't know he was real, but no, he's a real guy. What's
interesting about this is that Pirate Software himself eventually ended up working at Blizzard. Now, I'm not gonna outright claim it was a nepotistic hire, but it is quite notable that his dad was not only one of the original Blizzard employees, but he was also a big shot at the company well before Pirate Software ever ended up working there. To be honest, when covering someone, their past employment will not generally be of concern to me. The issue is how Pirate Software has framed his time at Blizzard, or rather bragged about it, and also how fucking often he brings it up.
For all you new people, my name is Thor. I've been in the game industry for 20 years. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment, then Amazon Game Studio, then the United States Department of Energy. I'm a hacker, pen tester, so I started in QA, went to the lead of application security, then I was a senior red team specialist. After that, I went to go work for Amazon Game Studio. I was an automation engineer working in Python on the Lumberyard game engine. Then I hacked power plants for the federal government working at the Department of Energy. What?
He made these appeals to authority so often that he developed the reputation online of not only being a game developer, but a game developer that had worked at Blizzard. I mean, for fuck's sake, here's his most recent appearance on Dr. K, in which he continues to imply that he was a game dev at the company.
You'll see there's a number of people that are in there that are getting like banned for this shit right now. It's like they come in and they're like, did you know that he worked at Blizzard for 7 years? Like, yeah, that was my career. And I'm proud of that. So of course I'm going to talk about that because it gives context to talk about other things around the games industry, which is what we do on the stream.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes the things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting, when in reality, I'm just trying to give context.
I mean, there are countless stream clips of Pirate Software bragging that I could pull up for clarity, but I think what makes it most clear is how he frames it in this interview. Sure, I've been in the gaming industry for about 2 decades now. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. I worked there for 7 years and on everything between World of Warcraft Vanilla to Overwatch. I mean, considering the original question was, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. And the first thing he responds with is that he worked in the games industry on several Blizzard projects over the years. Well, it's a fair assumption to conclude that he's talking about game development, right? Especially considering game development is a massive part of his content, as he has already made clear. Yeah, well, the issue with that is that, as far as I'm concerned, Pirate Software was never a game developer at Blizzard, with the highest position he held being lead application security. Now, what does application security entail, you may be wondering? Well, He was the fucking website guy, basically just making sure that Blizzard websites weren't falling apart, which, while I'm sure is still important, doesn't really reflect any improved understanding of the games that he cited or what goes into game development, like PirateSoftware had tried to express. Where these appeals to authority got especially egregious was with the arrival of OnlyFans. No, not the website where people sell porn of themselves. The hardcore World of Warcraft guild formed by primarily streamers such as Sodapoppin. For the duration of PirateSoftware's tenure at OnlyFans, he consistently attempted to place himself in a position of authority, citing his many years of experience with the game and of course bragging about his time at the company.
There's a funny fact about this. I worked at Blizzard for 7 years.
PirateSoftware's self-centered arrogance didn't allow him to see it, but coming from someone who was almost religiously watching the WoW content at the time, you could tell that the other streamers were getting fed up with PirateSoftware constantly attempting to inject his 2 cents into everything, which is also something that a lot of the streamers expressed after PirateSoftware was kicked from the guild.
That is outrageous, dude. You can't blame me for that shit. You make a bad poll, you make a bad call, that's on you.
Yeah, so as I said, PirateSoftware got kicked from the OnlyFans guild. Let's have a look at that now, shall we? OnlyFans, as previously mentioned, was playing vanilla hardcore World of Warcraft. What this basically means is that they're playing the original 20-year-old version of the game with one major adjustment, that being that their character can only die once. World of Warcraft really is not designed with this playstyle in mind, as it can take potentially hundreds of hours to reach the max level of 60, and realistically only one bad decision in a couple of seconds to lose all of that progress. It truly is the most psychotic way to play the game, however it creates a tense experience that is seemingly purpose-built for clippable stream moments like the one that we're about to go over. Welcome to Diremaul. Diremaul is a max level dungeon, which just means that it's end-game content that you have to do with a group of 5 people who have all invested the hundreds of hours to reach the max level of 60, or something close to it, like 59. It's January 2025, and PirateSoftware is with a group of 4 other streamers, that being Yamato, Aussie Fools, Snoopy, and Sarah. They are approaching the next boss in Diremaul, an ogre by the name of Guard Fingers. Just under an hour beforehand, they had almost died in the exact same dungeon. However, they were a lot further than the point at which we joined them. This is because they had to escape and redo the dungeon, so they were kind of rushing a bit. Yeah, I'll just let the clip play from Snoopy's perspective and explain afterwards.
Trying to actively reduce his age.
I know, oh, that's crazy. I've seen this.
We got 2, so just focus this.
Boss is coming too, watch out.
Yeah, well, I got shield wall. God damn.
Run.
Just run. Can you target dummy?
I can target him, yeah. Should I do it?
Just kill the massive. Yeah, target dummy. Kill the massives.
Aussie, are you fine? Any grenades, anything?
You can
Heal him.
Yeah, you just heal me. Just come back a little bit.
Boss is on me, setting bear form.
Snuppy, just run.
I can help out. Yep.
Pirate, why are you walking, bro?
What are you talking about? Why am I walking?
This is savage shit.
Innervate
Come
you?
on, man.
Just kill the mastiffs. Kill the mastiffs. We got this. In the sense
War
of,
something? War some now?
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
Just kill the mastiffs. One shot.
There's more on the way,
Run now. The mastiffs can be ice novas.
Dead.
Now we're gonna wait.
Musara.
Okay, get out.
Run.
Evocation's on cooldown, man.
I can taunt last.
How much mana is
as well?
Ice Nova? There's no that much mana.
You have a boss in you.
Get slowed.
Fuck.
Anything for me?
No.
I don't think. I cannot stun him. Also,
No, just run out.
The boss came not like this. Live.
Fuck!
Well, that was a disaster, wasn't it? I don't even want to know how many hundreds of hours were extinguished on those 2 characters that died. So, to clarify, the group pulled way too many enemies, or mobs, ads, whatever you want to call them, including the aforementioned boss mob Guard Fingers. So, the situation swiftly became more and more treacherous, which led to Yamato and Aussie Fools calling for the group to run.
Run.
Just run. Can you target dummy?
You see this guy? That's PirateSoftware, and it's also notably one of the last times that he turns his character around. You might be wondering, well, Why is that an issue? The call to run has been made and Pirate Software is subsequently running. Well, when you're playing hardcore, it's generally expected of you to try and utilize your abilities in an attempt to help your party members escape. So when a run call is made, it's not necessarily a every man for himself type beat, it's more of a, hey, we should break off this fight and recuperate. If you do decide to treat it as an every man for himself situation, well, that's when it becomes what's called a roach, referring to how bugs scatter when you lift the rock that's covering them. That's not just how I feel about it, that's how the OnlyFangs guild had previously agreed to treat a run call.
Guys, this is the definition of full roach right here. Everyone's dead except for the rogue. The last clip, who lived? The rogue. The rogue always lives, man.
There's actually another problem with Petri that a lot of people aren't talking about. It's that when you have winnable situations, people who have Petri are more than likely going to use Petri just to escape those.
And then that's gonna happen. It's right now. I'm not saying Petri is just
roaching. It sucks.
I'm not saying Petri is gonna.
Now, what's especially notable is that in WoW Vanilla, there are 9 different classes that you can choose from that all have unique ability sets that allow the classes to provide different utilities and purposes from one another. 2 of the classes are faction locked, so realistically, Pirate Software could have chose from 8 classes. Out of the 8 classes that Pirate Software's character could have been, or more specifically warrior, mage, rogue, warlock, shaman, druid, hunter, or priest, he was inarguably the most useful for this exact situation, or more specifically a mage. Mages are generally supposed to be brought along with groups for their crowd control utilities, which just means that they can affect the movement and combat capabilities of enemy mobs by applying debuffs like slows, which, you know, would be particularly handy when you're running away from something. Additionally, out of all the classes available, mages have by far the most survivability, other than maybe rogues. And this is down to that aforementioned crowd control utility and the ability Blink, which is important to the Diremaul incident. Blink is arguably the most busted ability in the game, allowing the mage to jump several meters in front of them in an instant, allowing them to get themselves out of the line of danger. No other class in the game has nearly as effective movement tech, which is a massive part of what makes mages comparatively hard to kill, and also why they are so crucial for group retreats, because they can apply their crowd control with little to no risk to themselves. Now, comically, Pirate Software had explained all of this in some of his unsolicited advice, to the extent that he even knew the exact buttons he should be pressing in this situation before the Diremaul incident had even occurred. Here, I'll just play this clip of Pirate Software reacting to when another streamer by the name of Moon, who was also playing mage, got JBZ and Juliakins killed in a very similar circumstance.
We've lost a lot of tanks, man. Like, I've watched it, like JBZ died the other day. That was rough.
That was sad. As a mage player, that was sad to watch from 2 mages in a group. I'm gonna be honest.
It made me physically unwell. Yeah.
Yeah. It made me feel like I was a decent mage player, knowing that I probably would have done a lot more.
Like, there were no sheeps going out, there were no blizzards going out. Apparently he didn't have the spec for blizzard for slows, but like that's exactly why I run that spec. Because like when shit goes sideways, you save lives, man.
Oh, 100%. And blizzard is like,
yeah,
it's absolutely goated. It's so good.
So, with that all explained, let's watch a mixture of Pirate Software and Yamato's perspective in the Diremaul incident to see how Pirate Software put this knowledge to use.
Boss is coming too, watch out.
Yeah, well, I got shield wall. God
Run,
damn
run,
it.
run.
Just run. Can you target dummy?
I can target dummy, yeah. Should I do it?
Just kill the massive. Yeah, target dummy. Kill the massives.
No.
Aussie, are you fine? Any grenades, anything?
I got last stand.
Heal him.
Yeah, you just heal me. Just come back a little bit.
Boss is on me, sitting bear form.
Snuppy, just run.
I can help a lot. Yeah.
Pirate, why are you walking, bro?
What are you talking about? Why am I walking?
This
Look at
is
my mana.
savageable. Come
Innervate
on, man.
Just kill the mastiffs.
Innervate.
Use Nova, bro. Come on.
Kill the mastiffs. We got this.
Heals.
In a sense of.
War something. War something
Do you
now.
see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
Just kill the mastiffs. One shot. Okay, we
More
can
than on the way. More on the way.
Now. The mastiffs can be ice novas.
Now we're gonna wait.
Musara.
No.
Okay, get out.
Run.
Evocation's on cooldown, man.
I can taunt last.
How much mana is
off you as well?
ice? There's no way that much mana.
You have a boss in you.
Getting slowed.
Fuck.
Anything for me?
I can.
No.
I don't think. I cannot stun him. Aussie, are you good?
Just run out.
Are you good, Aussie?
The boss came not like.
Fuck!
The boss came up after like the Mastiffs too. After we Oh no.
So yeah, he just didn't put any of that knowledge into practice. I mean, other than just not playing his class, instead opting to spam blink, here is the first of many mistakes that PirateSoftware made. If you look at the top left, ignore this bar that says 1 out of 3,450. That's supposed to be his health bar, but he has a mod/add-on installed that makes it stay 1 hit point, assumedly to bait stream engagement. What's notable to us is the bar underneath it, because that's his mana bar, and it basically just shows the amount of resources PirateSoftware has available to cast his spells. The ability that PirateSoftware used here is a max rank Blizzard. Blizzard does damage in an area of effect, or AoE for short. However, it also applies slow to any enemies that are caught in that AoE. Blizzard is a channeling spell, so once you activate it, you have to stand still to continue casting it and dealing ticks of damage. Think of a tick as about 1 second or so. With that context, how many ticks of max rank Blizzard do you reckon that PirateSoftware got out here before he cancelled the ability by moving? Yeah, it's about 2 ticks of damage, which is an issue because if you even cast 1 tick of a channeling spell, it uses the full cost of the ability, which in this instance completely depleted his mana pool. Now, you may have noticed that I was specifying it was a max rank Blizzard. Well, this is because most spells have levels to them, which increases not only the damage output, but the mana cost. One thing it does not affect is the amount of slow that is applied to enemy mobs. So with that in mind, PirateSoftware ideally should have cast a rank 1 Blizzard. It would have been a fraction of the cost and it would have been just as effective at applying slow. The issue is, PirateSoftware doesn't even have rank 1 Blizzard bound to his fucking hotbar, despite previously saying this.
Yeah, a lot of things I think the mages forget, man, is you are a control unit, you're there to control the battlefield, and you need to be using your wards and your ice barrier.
Yes, I mean, so we need a mage for every dungeon, so if anything goes wrong, they can just lock down everything.
Yep. I mean, they need to have rank 1 Blizzard on their bar. Can you see my talents? Sure, man. So I've got 35 points in Frost. This is going to give me elemental precision and improved frostbolts, so faster frostbolts that hit better. All of this is just damage related except for improved Blizzard. This is going to allow me to basically save parties in dungeons. That's the real big deal for that. Improved Blizzard is just very powerful because you can cast a rank 1 Blizzard, it costs only 272 mana, to do that.
The mods were fed $20.
It's very helpful. One of those situations where a mage needs to have rank 1 Blizzard on their bar and improved Blizzard. I run improved Blizzard in all dungeons, and I have rank 1 Blizzard on my bar specifically for scenarios like this, where you're just not spending a shitload of mana, and you're casting rank 1 Blizzard to try and do that, because if you Frost Nova is an emergency play that you only do if you know that the rooted mobs are not going to cause a death. Because if you're in a situation where everyone's running and you Frost Nova and there's a melee DPS nearby, everybody will turn and hit the closest target that they can hit when they're rooted. So it's really scary when you do that. I've seen a lot of mages cause deaths because they just don't know when to cast that.
Either way, at this point in time, all I have covered so far is really just a mistake in a video game at the end of the day. So let's move on to the next infraction, which would be this.
Pirate, why are you walking, bro?
What are you talking about? Why am I walking? Look at my mana.
This is savageable, come on, man.
Despite asking the question, PirateSoftware seemingly reflexively answered the question himself. If you watch his cursor here, it flicks towards a couple items that actually would provide him some mana right now. Now, this one could either be a unstable mana potion or a Stratholme Holy Water. So we will give PirateSoftware the benefit of the doubt and assume that is the latter. I mean, regardless, there are other items that he could have used. For example, there is the aptly named Mana Gem, which restores 25% of your mana upon use and also gets you instantly banned if you send the words to PirateSoftware's chat.
I should have used my Mana Gem. God damn it.
How about the Mana Ruby, which restores 1,000 to 1,200 mana and, unlike the Mana Gem, was both visible and usable throughout the entire Diremaul incident. Or there's the Robe of the Archmage right here, which is his equipped chest item that has an active ability he can use which restores his mana. The most egregious thing he does, however, is continue to spam blink. Bro, what the fuck are you blinking from? There's like 7 football fields between him and anything that can cause damage to him. To me, it just comes off as if you got pissed off by Yamato saying,
Pirate, why are you walking, bro?
which led to Pirate Software impulsively responding.
What are you talking about? Why am I walking?
This
Look
is
at my mana.
savageable. Come on, man.
Just kill the mastiffs.
Innovate.
Innovate the healer. Kill the mastiffs. We got this. In the sense of.
Or something.
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
However, he realized that he did indeed actually have mana, so he started using worthless abilities like Frost Shield in order to waste it because his ego couldn't handle being wrong about his claimed inability to help. I mean, obviously I'm not a fucking mind reader, I don't know what that guy was thinking, but there is a recent conversation between Pirate Software and Dr. K in which he talks about this exact moment and expresses frustration. So I do think I'm onto something.
And then there's unreasonable attacks, which I think that is an unreasonable attack of like going in and be like, your ferret's out of mana, that's why it died. Like that's
oh fuck, sorry, that's the wrong clip. Here's the right one.
It sounds like what you did was, I'm still not quite sure. You made a snide comment and then ran away in a hardcore dungeon?
I made a snide comment as we were escaping the dungeon and 2 people died in that runaway.
Okay.
And that was it. And then all the people in 5. This is the funny part. The person who made the rude comment to me at the first place, it was like, "Why are you running?" He ended up getting caught in some other drama with it that I don't even know what happened.
Look, trust me, there is some blame to go to all of the people involved, like Snoopy accidentally butt-pulling some mobs, or just the fact that they were rushing in the first place. The issue is, not only was Pirate Software playing the only character capable of preventing the deaths of Sarah and Snoopy after they made the call to run, which, might I add, would not have been a difficult task for any semi-competent mage, but it's the fact that Pirate Software went on to quintuple down on his lack of fault in the situation. For starters, directly after the incident occurred, Yamato, the guy who was biting his arm and questioning Pirate Software about why he was running, proceeded to push the criticism further, which resulted in this argument.
I mean, the regular ogres can still be polyed. We just had the boss and like 5 mastiffs and 2 ogres. We could have polyed 1 ogre, killed 1, and then walked it out.
Yes, literally, just even an Ice Nova would have been enough.
You guys pulled that when I had...
Out, bro. You instantly ran. You didn't even look back.
As much as you're angry right now, of course I ran.
Don't be angry.
I'm not angry at all.
You overpulled 2 packs. You overpulled 2 packs and a boss. I had 1,400 mana left. I had to spend all of that mana to try and put it on Blizzard to save you guys in the first place, and nothing left. You weren't paying attention to party resources, you overpulled, and you weren't paying attention to where the boss was. That's not on me.
I saw the boss coming. I don't know if we could like move back faster, but yeah.
But there wasn't even like any like information. We are just yapping about useless stuff. Do you see my point?
I mean, yeah. But I mean, I can him up a
seen
bit.
The guy that's trying to actively reduce his age.
I know. Oh, that's crazy. I've seen this.
We got 2.
I called it the boss coming though, but at that point, maybe it was too late to move back.
Like, you're telling me like a rank 1 mage would not like at least to try Frost Nova there? Like you're not even like in danger. You can at least.
Oh, I'm
try
100%
Frost
in
Nova.
danger.
Like no.
100%. No, 100% in danger. When your shot color says run, it's time to run. You run. That is how that works. You were the shot caller. You called for run.
I'm not a
ran.
shot caller.
And I was out of mana.
I think I have
You
way
called
less
the
experience
shot.
than you have.
Oh,
and I
dear
can still
God.
see that I can at least use a Frost Nova there. Or at least try
Okay,
something.
go-
You were the
go roll a
first
mage and
person
do
that
it.
ran away and didn't even look back. Literally. You didn't
This
even
is the
say
second
anything.
time.
You could have at
This is
least
the
said
sec-
like the boss were there. were
You're just gonna
yapping
talk
about
over me? Is that what we're doing now?
Well, I'm just giving you
We're
my
just gonna
point.
talk over me? Is that
I'm
all?
just
Is that all we're
giving
doing?
you my point.
Okay. You done giving your point? You
Yes,
good?
I'm done now.
Okay. Cool. You go roll a mage then. See you around. Jesus.
I don't think that's
Insane shit. No. That is outrageous, dude. You can't blame me for that shit. You make a bad poll, you make a bad call, that's on you, not on anybody else.
Yaflid donated $69.69 to charity.
They give the $69.69 to charity. You're awesome as hell. Yeah, no. They pull that with the mage at no mana left. And they pull 2 packs and a boss. What the hell am I supposed to do for them? I could have Frost Nova'd, and the boss would still run him down and kill him. It's not on me. Not at all.
So essentially, Pirate Software decided to take 0 accountability and shift all blame to the shot caller, Yamato. Let me be clear, that there was not and had not been a shot caller involved in that dungeon, and Yamato's statement, or defense if you will, about PirateSoftware more likely being that shot caller would be 100% correct because of PirateSoftware's claimed years of experience. This was Yamato's first time playing classic World of Warcraft, let alone playing it in hardcore. Do you know what the best part is though? This isn't even a one-off performance from PirateSoftware. Do you remember how I mentioned that they had almost died earlier in the same dungeon? Well, here's that clip.
He's coming, just...
Oh, we got another one? Oh, fuck, just run out. Everyone, run down, jump down. I'm putting down target dummy, let's just run out of here.
Oh my god.
Everybody run. Yamato, you safe?
No, I don't think so. I'm kind of slow and I have nothing.
Do you vanish, target
Where are you guys running? Where are you guys running?
Outside to the entrance. Can you vanish in Hearth? Just vanish in Hearth.
Okay, I'll vanish.
Do you have a swiftness spot?
No, I don't. Trade me.
Are you guys fine? Are you guys fine?
I have a dummy.
Put down another dummy. Up
Can I
ahead.
dummy again? Snip.
We got a fucking prequel Diremaul incident. Holy, I mean, look at the fucking mini-map, for fuck's sake. His teammates are miles away. Oh, and he even dropped group, bro. He's trying to get teleported out of the instance. What's even more pathetic is that he later used this exact moment as an excuse for why it was okay to roach out in the Diremaul incident.
And I'm going to be honest with you, that group had already almost full wiped us the entire dungeon before. That was our second Diremaul with the same group. The first one, we all of us had to leave group, drop groups that we could teleport out. The second one was this. No reason for me to do shit. Evocate was on cooldown, 2.5 minutes left. So no, I didn't trust the group to survive. And no, I wasn't going to go back on the call of them saying, run, 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 it's time to run. So no.
Okay, so he was the second person to drop group after Yamato, when realistically, he should have been the last because he's a mage who has spells such as Blink and Ice Block that make him practically immortal as long as he's not a dumb fuck. Don't forget, that's also after he had already attempted to use a Hearthstone, which, if you're unaware, would have teleported him out of the dungeon to safety if he had finished casting it. I mean, it's obvious that he does not respect the other players involved in the Diremaul incident, but to be honest, I do not think that's mutually exclusive to the Diremaul group. Here's a mini roach that I believe is also a prequel incident.
We got a spellbinder back here?
Yeah.
I'm coming.
No, we got 3. He pulled 3 things back here.
Yeah. I got them all.
Cool.
I don't even get why PirateSoftware is pretending that the reason he didn't go back in was because of the false idea that there was nothing he could do to help. He has already made clear his intention to roach in other dungeons, not just through actions, but verbally as well.
I've never had a group want to go in this early. Nope. If they social poll that, I am out, dude. Like, nah.
In fact, here's what he later said about that exact moment in Diremaul when he turned around and there was 7 football fields between him and anything that could harm him.
Would you care to elaborate on what's going on? I have no idea and feel lost.
Sure. A bunch of people are really pissed off that I played World of Warcraft hardcore and I was blamed entirely for a bad pull. Basically, the tank pulled 2 packs and a boss. We all played like dog shit. Going from there on, the druid butt pulled another pack on the way out. The call was made to run. I ran further than other people wanted to, and then the call was made to not run. So I didn't run back in. And there was, at that point, it felt like there was no reason to run back in. At that point, I didn't really want to, and that's it. And it's spiraled out of control into this kind of like hate brigade all over the internet where people have told us to kill ourselves. They've tried to get me banned in the game. They tried to get me banned on like Twitch. They've tried to get me banned from the guild. And it's just kind of disgusting. And I don't really give a shit about it. So at this point, we just have the mods banning everybody who's talking about it pretty much anywhere, and we're just blocking everybody on Twitter.
You'll come to find throughout this video that PirateSoftware tends to make this pattern of lying based on whatever his ego's whims are in that particular moment pretty clear throughout every drama he's involved in. When the OnlyFans React cycle got their hands on the Diremaul incident, the large majority of streamers believed that PirateSoftware could have done substantially more to help the group, which led to most of the guild jokingly referring to the situation as a roach. For example, there was that aforementioned mage, Moon aka Goon Goon, who who, as mentioned, had previously gotten JBZ and Juliakins killed in a very similar circumstance, which resulted in Pirate Software criticizing him for it. Goon, however, clearly had some patience and did not immediately respond to Pirate Software's criticism at the time. It was only after Pirate Software had partook in the Diremaul incident that he decided to respond with this clip, truly cementing his last laugh.
I found this clip when I was on Reddit.
We've lost a lot of tanks, man.
Yeah.
Like, I've watched it, like JBZ died the other day. That was rough.
That was sad. As a mage player, that was sad to watch from two mages in a group, I'm gonna be honest.
It made me physically unwell, yeah.
Yeah. It made me feel like I was a decent mage player, knowing that I probably would have done a lot more.
Like, there were no sheeps going out, there were no blizzards going out. Apparently he didn't have the spec for blizzard for slows, but like, that's exactly why I run that spec. Because like, when shit goes sideways, you save lives, man.
Oh, 100%. And blizzard is like,
yeah,
it's absolutely goated. It's so good.
I'll probably end up talking about Goon some more in another video because I want to cover the GTA community's epidemic at some point, but that's a whole nother story. Regardless, some people did still hold a little bit more animosity towards Pirate Software due to his insistence on avoiding accountability and claiming it was the shot caller's fault, but it was mostly just jokes at this point. This, however, still upset Pirate Software, and when paired with the large spike in chat hoppers coming in to say mana gem or out of mana, he was motivated to release this twit longer in response. Quite the dramatic opening. To those trying to character assassinate me online for a bad pull in time or WoW hardcore. This is hardcore WoW, and there is a lot on the line when you step foot into a dungeon. Here is a light breakdown of the last 24 hours. Either way, he continues to deny sole accountability by claiming it was the shot caller's fault and insisting that everyone in the party played poorly. This is followed by Pirate Software yet again bringing up his past employment by stating that he's never claimed to be a god gamer, just an ex-Blizzard employee who's played a lot of Mage. He then goes on the attack a little bit by stating that anyone calling for his cancellation or death are far too invested, however also notably states that any creators engaging the behavior will fall off. However, their relationship with the assumedly Pirate Software himself will remain sullied even after they are no longer successful.
I think it soured the way that I feel about many of the creators inside of this, because there's a number of them that either weren't there to see stuff happen and made a snap decision about the entire situation, or are currently publicly stating that they're farming it for drama because it boosts their viewership. And that shows me that it's a lot of disingenuous bad actors in there. At the same time, I've met some really cool people through this that are actually fantastic. That content is causing drama and problems. There's a lot of streamers actually in this guild that want to cause problems specifically with me, and have even stated so publicly on their Twitch, saying that they want to have a fight with me for content. That's not content. That's dog shit. Ridiculous. Keep it. Not going to be a part of it. Actually insane people on the internet. So I just ban and report them, dude. We've been doing bans across the Twitch channel. We've been doing batch reports up to Twitch. We've been taking all of this. We've been documenting all of the content creators that are egging it on. Like, all of that shit is documented and reported. And that's it. Hope it was worth it.
The reason I say this is notable is because at this point, the creators engaging with the topic, while yes, potentially overly critical, were not calling for his death or cancellation. Consider the next paragraph where he claims that he and his staff had banned well over 4,000 accounts participating in a hate raid in the span of just 10 hours. When in reality you could just get banned for sending the word mana. It does come off as a dramatization or mischaracterization of what was happening.
It was 2,975 bans and 1,357 bans on process, and Kronos was told to kill himself 20 times. Great people in there.
Obviously, calling for his banning or death is wrong, and anyone doing that is deranged. However, Pirate Software is doing himself no favors by banning chatters that are just taking the piss, followed by releasing this tweet in which he closes off by stating, "The internet hate machine will not defeat me or the community that supports me. See you in hardcore WoW tomorrow." Additionally, around this time, Pirate Software had deleted the clip of the incident from his channel and I believe had taken the VOD down. Unfortunately for Pirate Software, however, he cannot delete evidence from other people's streams, which resulted in people digging up a clip of when he was bullying a first-time mage player, Lakari, and Lakari was visibly upset with him.
You basically have to evocate to get your mana back for the next pull.
Remind me. Sorry, I don't play the game, so I forget. If you remind me, I can help you out. Real talk.
Yeah, it's too bad I'm the only mage in the party. You're right, Jen. If only someone else would cast Arcane. If only.
Can't really keep wishing for things that just aren't here, though.
That's true. That's true. Can't wish for the rogue. Can't wish for another mage to cast Arcane.
Yeah.
Brother, may I have some oats? Oh, since we have 2 mages, we could probably poly the ads.
Wait, we have 2 mages. Oh, man.
Yeah, I can poly.
Here I've been the only one casting Arcane. Incredible.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's wild, right?
So, to summarize the Diremaul incident without all the nerd shit, when considering how critical PirateSoftware had previously been of newer mages who had made lesser mistakes, and, well, just his general attitude towards the incident that still persists to this day, people were pretty pissed off, understandably, at his raging ego and inability to acknowledge fault. While yes, everyone made mistakes, Pirate's entire purpose in that dungeon was to play his class in that exact scenario, and despite the fact that he claimed he was more than capable of doing so, when it actually came down to it, he could not deliver. No one else in that dungeon except PirateSoftware attempted to lie, avoid accountability, or delete evidence. So, of course, all the criticism was going to be thrown at him. So, anyway, another day passes, it's January 15th, and a Twitter user by the name of N_TYS posts this clip of PirateSoftware in which he, as per usual, cites his Blizzard credentials.
I didn't get this deep, stop feeding into it. All of the accounts that are messaging me are getting reported. There's a funny fact about this. I worked at Blizzard for 7 years. There's a whole lot of other people there that still know me, and all of these reports are going directly to them. They're well aware of the situation, and everybody who's messaging me, they're gonna get read. It's kind of a dumbass thing to do, and I can't wait for all of them to get banned. Yep.
PirateSoftware responded to this tweet with a bunch of screenshots of people sending him messages in WoW game chat telling him that they're going to kill him and his family, which again just shows he's entirely missing the point. The large majority of people criticizing him do not condone those types of threats. He also reiterated this point several times on his stream in his various rants and rambles.
People that are messaging you with this insane shit all day, every day, don't leave your house because we have people waiting for you at the grocery store. You're gonna get stabbed. BlizzCon 2025. These are the people I'm reporting in game. So if you're one of those people in chat that thinks that this is real funny and doing that kind of shit, look at the people that are running with you, bud. You guys are nuts. Like, you're actually insane. This is a video game. You have a problem. Go outside. You're psychotic, dude.
Either way, a multitude of clips of PirateSoftware coping about the situation and coming up with various bullshit explanations for his fuck-ups began spreading because he was just on stream perpetually ranting about it.
I am often gaslighted by management and somehow always yielding to the pressure and admitting to a mistake I never did.
Okay.
I was super impressed with how you stood your ground against relentless bullshit thrown at you from other toxic communities.
Yep.
You did nothing wrong, you knew it, and you stood your ground. How I can build up the same level of mental resilience like you.
I think the biggest thing, man, is a lot of people will cave because they feel like caving is going to make the ridicule and bullshit stop. It doesn't. If you know that you are correct, if you feel that you're right in the way that you do things, just own it.
Yamato even got the opportunity to speak with PirateSoftware again, assumedly with the hopes that he wouldn't just leave the call this time.
What do you want, man?
Let me say it again.
He already said his piece.
Pirate.
Go on.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I want to speak to him because I didn't speak to him correctly. I said it again. We all did mistakes, bro. Like I didn't say, we are just blaming you. It's about the zero accountability is what makes us so mad.
There's no zero accountability, dude. Everyone can do something better.
No,
but when you open up and you yell over another person
listen,
like you
can
were doing
I
earlier-
speak?
Nah, I'm good.
You.
See ya. I'm not doing that shit again with him. Nah, he did it the first time. I'm not doing it a second one. Not interested.
Well, so much for that. Another point of contention was this bizarre point that PirateSoftware made about him being the guild enchanter, and so his life was more valuable than everyone else involved or something. Yeah, that was quickly crushed by the guild leader Soda Poppin' though.
Yeah, here's the other thing that a lot of people don't understand. Do you want to know one of the reasons why I'm more hesitant to dive in and maybe die for a scenario like that, where I already know that it's very lost? I'm one of the primary guild enchanters.
Whatever.
I have Crusader on this character. I have all of this shit saved up for the guild. That's the point. If I'm going back in, I'm going back in because I know it's salvageable.
It's not a big
because
deal.
there's maybe a chance, or I'm kill number 3. There is no reason for that shit.
He is one of the guild's primary enchanters. However, we have like 10 primary guild enchanters, and one could argue that we have too many still. Nathan, Cobalt, Vay, him. Fuck, chat's gonna have to help me. There's a ton of Fizz. Oh yeah, Fizz can fucking do it. Hydra can do it. I know there's more too. There's like probably 10 really big, 300 enchanting, and all of them have Crusader.
Look, while getting to max level enchanting can be a costly and time-exhaustive process, it is not even close to comparable to leveling 1, let alone 2 fucking characters to max level. Either way, the most questionable claim to come out of PirateSoftware's rants was the idea that the other OnlyFans guild members were intentionally leading a hate raid against him, essentially blaming them for the death threats he was receiving.
It's blown out of proportion. A little self-reflection and attitude and tone would go a long way. I gave a shit about that at first, and I don't give a shit about it at all now. At this point, we've gotten thousands of bans in the chat. We have bots hitting the chat. We have real people hitting the chat. We've received hundreds of death threats. We've gotten 2 swatting attempts so far. And I really don't give a shit how people feel at this point. And I feel like anyone else in my position would feel the same. So the people who are trying to do this for content, the ones that want to do this as a content play, which is quite a lot of streamers, I don't have any respect for them, and I never will. What is against TOS? What is against TOS is organizing hate raids on the platform, which is what a number of these other content creators have done live on stream while admitting that they're doing it specifically for content, that they're doing it so that they want to cause beef with me as a streamer so that they can get it for content in OnlyFans, and how to position themselves to cause those types of arguments to happen. Since it was all done live on stream, we've reported that to Twitch. That's it, right? You're not supposed to do that. It's against TOS. Don't be a piece of shit. Basic stuff, dude. Basic shit. And for all the content creators that were out there trying to cannibalize me to boost their numbers for a little while, that may work for now. But in the future, no one's going to want to do anything with you other than other people that also want to cannibalize you. You're going to surround yourself with assholes. That's going to be on you, bud. That's shitty for you, to be honest with you. And I feel bad for you. Straight up. So have your minute. Have fun. And a lot of it was from a rogue that was bitching the entire time about every goddamn thing that was going on except for his own play. But the mage is the one at fault because the mage is the hero class and the mage has to do everything perfectly. Everyone in that played badly. The druid butt pulled an extra pack on the way out. The tank chose to take us into a bad route through the entirety of the dungeon, pulled 2 packs and the boss at the same time. I, as the mage, went into that fight with 40% mana, tried to use my resources, used them poorly, and got myself out when the call was made to run, which, by the way, was made by them as well. Everyone played badly. In fact, the only person who didn't was the healer. And I explained that in the Twitter post, but no one wants to hear that shit. Because they want it to be a double down, a triple down, a quadruple down. They want to have a villain. They want to have an enemy. They want to fight that shit into the ground. They want to send death threats to people over it. Because they're goddamn insane. Because this guild has turned into a content guild built on hate, not a content guild built on experiences. Because they're freaking monsters, dude.
Subsequently, the guild leader, Sodapoppin, made the decision to kick PirateSoftware from the guild, releasing the news on the OnlyFans Discord, which PirateSoftware expressed its displeasure with on Twitter. Probably not before the OnlyFans guild had actually managed to replace him with a new enchanter though. The following day, January 16th, PirateSoftware released his final and longest twitlonger in regards to the Diremaul incident. Within, he goes substantially harder on pushing the idea that the Diremaul incident was actually the shot caller's fault, and cited the argument that Yamato had with him as the main reason that the situation spiraled out of control. In my opinion, the only reason that PirateSoftware even feigned the idea that he also made mistakes in that situation is because he was yet to be kicked from the guild, so there was no ulterior motive for him to not just flat out deny responsibility like he seemingly wanted to. This tweet also includes one of the funniest lines I think I've ever read on the internet, that being, "So what do you do in this situation? You start reporting it and banning people. We took the 10,000 plus attack accounts and reported them up for the organized hate raid that this is," which fucking no you don't. Start just spam reporting and banning people from your chat that are joking around. That is quite possibly the scientifically formulated worst way to respond. There is a reason Pirate Software's claimed number of bans more than doubled from 4,000 to 10,000 in the course of a day. And that's because Pirate Software's engagement with the situation, including the constant banning, has only served to magnify the amount that people dislike him. This is something that Dr. K had even attempted to explain to Pirate Software recently, more than 100 days after the Diremaul incident. And this goofy ass motherfucker is either still completely unaware or intentionally avoiding acknowledging fault for the situation.
I think what you say, hey, I was just smug, that's not how it felt to other people.
I think that was me dumbing it down to a flashpoint moment, not the full story.
Absolutely. So, and that's where you're screwing up, because you will dumb down your flaws to one word, but you will extrapolate and hypothesize other people's flaws to the nth degree.
I don't think that is a fair assessment.
The Diremaul incident even got a mention in professional League of Legends esports. No, I'm not kidding.
He is the last man there, kind of like a mage blinking out of the dungeon. He will survive, but the rest of his team, not there.
Nope.
All this culminated in Pirate Software quitting World of Warcraft, despite an honestly shocking amount of support from people who believed he was being treated unfairly.
I won't be playing hardcore WoW on stream again. I don't give a shit about any of this stuff anymore. If you came here to like talk about it, or you want to do the thing, you think it's part of a soap opera or a bit, it's not part of a bit. I'm not going to play, and I'm just going to go do other stuff, and that's it. Yeah, I'm not going to make my own guild. I'm not going to do any of that shit. I'm out. Yeah. Not interested.
But yeah, that's about it for the Diremaul incident. Most of the pro Pirate Software streamers who had been defending him during the incident saw the aftermath, and they too began making Pirate Software roach jokes. Oh, and then there's Asmin, of course. Yeah, Asmin wasn't even in the guild, but for some reason he decided to react to the incident and just mega defend Pirate Software. Not long later, Pirate Software hopped on Asmongold's stream for an unrelated conversation about a game called Ashes of Creation, which, oh, well, would you look at that, is another game that Pirate Software has drama in.
Yeah, people are looking way too deep into it. I think what it is there's some people on the internet that literally cannot handle conflict. And if you can't handle conflict, then you should not be playing a social sandbox game.
Predictably, after Pirate Software kept adding fuel to the fire, people began looking through his past and, well, pulling up old incidents and watching his every move in order to paint a pattern of behavior. Interestingly, other than the fact that there clearly is a pattern, this is not only motivated by the Diremaul incident, but also the unrelated Asmin conversation, because Pirate Software's normal audience, as well as a large chunk of the WoW community, or really just internet in general, really dislike the guy. But either way, this Ashes of Creation situation is simple in comparison to the Diremaul incident, so let me just give you a brief overview. So for context, in this clip, Pirate Software is doing a dungeon with his guild formed of viewers. You see this lightning bolt slowly careening along? Yeah, well, that's caused by this guy right here. Now, pretty much anyone who's played a video game with this camera angle could tell you that this guy right here is controlled by whoever is filming this point of view. Oh. Well, when you look at that, it's Pirate Software's point of view. Now let's resume the clip, because about now is when the lightning bolt strikes and pulls the aggro of a creature called an Ocular, which proceeds to, well, wipe the group. Now let's see how Pirate Software reacts to this unfortunate accident that he has caused.
Sabu. God damn it, guys.
Oh, no, who pulled the Ocular?
So one of you pulled the Ocular. Why? Now half the raid is dead. Was there a reason for that?
As you can see by the clock at the top right, this went on for 10 minutes, with Pirate Software supposedly asking his chat for evidence of who pulled the Ocular throughout that duration of time. When the evidence was presented to him and he saw that it was him, this is how he reacted.
The lightning ball pulled, I cast lightning ball before that Oculus appeared, and half the raid was in the back because they pulled the wrong pack. I'm not at fault there. I'm correct there for doing that. 100%. No. Absolutely not at fault there. When I cast the lightning ball, nothing else was there but the targets I was hitting, and the tank had pulled a completely incorrect pack from behind our raid, guys. That is not on me. No. Absolutely not. No, that's not at fault. No, when you split the party and you pull the wrong pack, no. If you actually watch that clip, you'll see that I'm trying to tell them, like, what are you doing? Why are you pulling back there? Yeah, no. Absolutely not. All right, where's the rest of the group?
We can't seem to come through.
This guy sounds like he takes criticism well. You sound like you want to talk to me about it in the unban request. You're just shit stirring. I'm just gonna get rid of you. Yeah, it's ridiculous behavior.
So he immediately deflects blame and moves on. Now, to be fair to PirateSoftware, he did end up going on to take accountability for the situation, you know, only after it was absolutely undeniable that it was his fault though.
Did you pull that Accolade in AOC or no? Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, 100%. I was really pissed off that day because we had done a whole bunch of different stuff inside of that dungeon, and we had died so many different times and so much different stupid shit. And people just clipped the one portion where I was popping off finally. I was like, God damn it, this has to stop. Imagine 4 hours of wiping the shit that just wasn't necessary, and then you're finally irritated about it. That's it. You know, one of the things that the internet really likes to do is clip things in the worst-looking moment for that kind of stuff, and that's it. Not sure you did nothing. At the time, I felt like I didn't until we went back and looked at it, but I was already pissed off. Like, it's easy to get mad in situations like that, but people don't clip all the rest of the moments when we have tons of other shit going on. It's normal stuff. Yeah. Yeah, how dare Thor be human? How dare?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. By acknowledge fault, I meant to say that he acknowledges fault in quite possibly the most backhanded way imaginable. Either way, PirateSoftware's poor gameplay in the dungeon isn't the only cause of drama here to do with Ashes of Creation. That's not to say that poor gameplay isn't still a theme in the next drama that I'm about to go over though. A YouTuber with the username TheMetaBreaker, who I'll just call MetaBreaker for brevity, released an honestly amazing video in January of this year detailing his and his guild's experience with PirateSoftware within Ashes of Creation. Within the video, MetaBreaker explains that when he made the move from World of Warcraft Classic to Ashes of Creation, he found himself hopping through various guilds until he ended up in one called the Federation. This is where MetaBreaker first comes into proximity of PirateSoftware, because coincidentally, the Federation and PirateSoftware's guild formed of his viewers ended up picking the same server to play on. Now what's notable is that numbers-wise, PirateSoftware is by far the largest streamer consistently playing Ashes of Creation, so he obviously had quite a large number of people who were willing to join his guild. MetaBreaker states that while he was aware of PirateSoftware through his YouTube shorts, knowing him as a knowledge peddler, he actually didn't have any issues with the guy. Well, up until the mob tagging incident. For reference, mob tagging refers to dealing damage to an enemy mob before any other player can, aka tagging it, so that you get the rewards in the form of experience points or items when it dies. It's a fairly common concept in MMOs, however when a server wipes or an MMO just releases, it can be quite annoying because the early leveling zones will be absolutely filled to the brim with people to the point that you have to compete for tagging mobs. Here's an example clip of PirateSoftware competing with a crowd of players for a tag on a mob.
By the way, I can tap faster than you because I have 3 gig up-down fiber internet. Good luck ever getting another one of these polls.
You know, you would expect the self-proclaimed hacker man in game dev to know how ping works, but I guess not. In case you're unaware, internet speed makes next to no difference on your ping. That's primarily determined by your physical distance from the server that's hosting you. But either way, let's get back to MetaBreaker's video. PirateSoftware was trying to mob tag, however he noticed that a large number of the people that he's trying to compete with were in the guild the Federation, which prompted this reaction.
You guys are making a great showing for your guild. It's gonna be really fun wiping you off the server. Have fun with that.
Yeah, sure, that's a completely reasonable response. I mean, to be fair, streamers do generally have a harder time with mechanics like mob tagging because they always have a large entourage following them around tagging mobs before they can. For this reason, I can understand the frustration. However, to threaten to wipe out an entire guild on your stream in front of thousands of people because of a mechanic that everyone has to deal with in some capacity does seem a bit overboard to me. Either way, MetaBreaker continues stating this.
It was at this point that my view of Thor started to shift. In the following days, he began assaulting lobby caravans and threatening to get solo players banned who lashed out at him when he zerged their caravans with 40 players.
How this would work.
Oh, hey, wait, this guy's gonna get banned from the video game.
Wait,
this guy
what?
said, "What is sexual about ferrets to you, my dude?" He's trying to say that like we're sexual because we're in a ferret rescue. I'm gonna report the shit out of this guy.
Oh wow, would you look at that? That's one of my next talking points. Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to PirateSoftware, ferrets being sexualized is a topic of contention, which I will elaborate on. But first, I'll let MetaBreaker finish his story.
At first, I won't lie, I was a little bit worried. He has all this clout on Twitch, 14,000 viewers on Ashes of Creation, far more viewers and followers than any other individual in the scene, and he could likely throw his weight around. However, those of us in the Federation very quickly realized that despite their numbers, actual Pirates players, including Thor himself, were not very good at the game. What follows is some footage of our engagements with actual pirates, who seem to have a false sense of superiority on the server due to their numbers, and their roach leader, PirateSoftware.
Metabreaker proceeds into a 7 or so minute long compilation of PirateSoftware and his guild being absolutely shat on by the Federation, complemented with clips of PirateSoftware being extraordinarily arrogant and threatening for no good reason.
Yeah, pretty garbage tactics, to be honest with you. Like, we'll fight them when they stop being bitches about it. Doesn't matter. What matters right now is that unless you leave right now, we're just going to kill your guild every time we see you.
If you haven't seen Metabreaker's video, I recommend you watch it after this video. It gained a fair amount of traction, receiving 430,000 views on the base video and reactions from large streamers such as Quinn69, who I contractually have to mention right now over any other streamer because he's also from New Zealand. Anyway, I think it's about time that I introduce you to Maldavius Figtree. So yeah, as established in that Metabreaker clip, PirateSoftware owns and runs a ferret sanctuary, which, might I note, also has a Twitch and YouTube channel associated with it that he also monetizes. I don't exactly know what this guy was talking about in regards to sexualizing ferrets, but I do have a couple theories, one of which allows me to explain PirateSoftware's alternative identity, Maldavius Figtree. The first of those theories, not related to Maldavius, would be this incident in which Twitch removed one of PirateSoftware's emotes from his channel.
Last night, Twitch decided that they wanted to delete our favorite emote on this channel. It's been in use since January 2022. It is an animated ferret butt. There is no butthole on it. There is no anything on it. It is just a blank ass. The only thing that they've told me is that it's disallowed content, imagery of sexual content or nudity. Twitch, if this is sexual content, if your moderation team thinks that this is sexual content, I think that says more about you than it does about me. I'm just saying, it's a little bit weird. Don't get too aroused, Twitch. I know that ferrets turn you on so much.
I thought I'd mention it because it seems possible to me that the Ashes of Creation guy was referring to that, but hey, I'm not so sure. I think he's referring to something else. My other theory, as mentioned, has to do with Maldavius Figtree, PirateSoftware's ferret persona. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this goes back to Second Life, that shitty VR chat precursor in which PirateSoftware would design and sell virtual fursuits, fursonas, I don't know, some fucking furry shit, okay? Avert your eyes for a moment if you don't want to see something fucking grotesque, but I'm going to show you an ad for one of those virtual fursuits that's also notably a ferret. Let me introduce you to the child sexual abuse ferret. No, seriously, what the fuck is the CSA throwing in before the ferret's supposed to stand for? He was selling all sorts of colors as well. We had red ferret, blue ferret, green ferret. It's got articulation in the tail and mouth, and it even has a male and female model included. Yes, that ferret on the right indeed has tits. I really don't know how else to interpret this other than as PirateSoftware sexualizing ferrets, which is pretty questionable considering the guy runs and owns a ferret sanctuary. If that isn't concerning to you, the allegations from a Twitter user by the name of Lyric Wolf might be. On June 10th, 2025, Lyric Wolf released a tweet which claimed that when they were 20 years old, the then 31-year-old PirateSoftware emotionally abused and manipulated Lyric Wolf for financial and sexual gain. I'm a bit dubious of some of these claims, but I will elaborate on that after I've shared them. Lyric Wolf then follows this by stating that the aforementioned alleged abuse had caused Lyric Wolf to drop his pursuit of a university education and dreams of being a content creator, additionally linking to a website with the web domain piratesoftware.sucks. Upon looking at the website, you can see that Lyric Wolf claims this happened back in 2018, which also lines up with the fact that Lyric Wolf says they are 27 in their bio. Either way, proceeding through Lyric Wolf's Twitter thread, he goes on to state that he first came into contact with PirateSoftware due to a copyright conversation that was based around the piano transcriptions that Lyric Wolf had been making at that point in time, having transcribed a couple of the songs from PirateSoftware's game Heartbound in February of 2018. Supposedly later that year on August 26th, Lyric Wolf made an $800 donation to PirateSoftware, which Lyric Wolf claims subsequently led to PirateSoftware expressing romantic interest in Lyric Wolf. This, unfortunately for my eyes, and well now yours, manifested as erotic furry roleplay, which Lurkwolf describes as love bombing. Lurkwolf continues stating that PirateSoftware began attempting to pressure them into a relationship, which Lurkwolf would respond to, stating that they just wanted to be friends. Lurkwolf describes this as gaslighting, which again I will talk about later. Regardless, Lurkwolf goes on to claim in the next tweet that they made plans to meet up at TwitchCon 2018 to cuddle and fuck, I'd guess. I don't know, we are talking about furries, so something more could be something that's entirely outside of my imagination. I mean, they were talking about knotted dicks and shit. But either way, what I did find bizarre is the fact that PirateSoftware gave this countdown for when TwitchCon was 15 and 5 days off, which is truly deranged. Regardless, Lurkwolf claims that they did indeed meet up together at TwitchCon on October 26th, where they roamed the streets together with some streamers and PirateSoftware's business partner and friend, Shay. Lurkwolf claims in the first tweet that while Shay was initially sympathetic towards Lurkwolf, they did end up being complicit in PirateSoftware's cover-up of Lurkwolf's allegation. Regardless, the TwitchCon group decided that they wanted to go to a bar, which meant that Lurkwolf could not participate because of the fact that they're in the US, where drinking before the age of 21 is illegal, despite the fact that you can apparently simultaneously have erotic furry roleplay and sleep with a 31-year-old man. But I mean, that's for you guys to decide, I guess. Either way, PirateSoftware ended up excusing himself from the bar and joined Lurkwolf in their hotel room. Although Lurkwolf doesn't explicitly state it in the same tweet, I think it's pretty safe to assume that they slept together that night, especially considering Lurkwolf implies this to be the case in the same reply chain. Lurkwolf goes on to claim that while the group was roaming around on day 2 of TwitchCon, Shay made a comment about PirateSoftware's secret wife, which led to Lurkwolf messaging PirateSoftware about it later that day. PirateSoftware responded saying, "Is there a ring on my finger? Lol," and claimed it was a bit weird to question, so Lurkwolf went and asked Shay about it instead. Lurkwolf states that he explained the situation to Shay and showed screenshots of him guiding PirateSoftware to his hotel room as evidence. Shay then subsequently opened up to Lurkwolf, stating that PirateSoftware and himself were sexual partners who had agreed to be open at TwitchCon as long as they communicated. According to Lurkwolf, however, Shay was not aware that Lurkwolf and PirateSoftware had met up, which Lurkwolf claims devastated Shay. Now, there is no direct evidence for this interaction between Shay and Lurkwolf. However, PirateSoftware later acknowledges it in these messages, in which he gets mad at Lurkwolf for sending chat logs to Shay, and additionally claims that nothing is going on between him and Shay. Seemingly nothing else happens for a bit over half a year when Lurkwolf suddenly decides out of nowhere in March of 2019 to charge back that $800 donation from August of 2018. Subsequently, PirateSoftware releases a tweet accusing Lurkwolf of scamming a small indie studio and states that he will fight Lurkwolf into the ground. PirateSoftware then followed this up by filing a DMCA claim against Lurkwolf's YouTube channel, or more specifically one of the Heartbound piano transcriptions on April 1st. Personally, I don't find a DMCA claim to be a particularly funny April Fool's joke, but to each their own, I guess. Lurkwolf responded to PirateSoftware's tweet on April 5th, 2019 with a now deleted Google Doc that outlined all of Lurkwolf's claims to do with PirateSoftware at TwitchCon. Both PirateSoftware and Shay went on to refute Lurkwolf's document in a series of now deleted tweets with 3 major points. The first of which would be that PirateSoftware was divorced at the time. The second being that Lurkwolf supposedly doxed PirateSoftware by sharing his phone number in the evidence. And the third was that Lurkwolf apparently planned all of this to scam both PirateSoftware and his indie game development studio. Now, if it wasn't already, this is where it gets bizarre, because Lurkwolf claims that PirateSoftware's lies were made so confidently that Lurkwolf himself was gaslighted into taking the Google Doc down. The reason he claims that he was gaslighted and not just outright convinced is because, according to Lurkwolf, all 3 of PirateSoftware's major rebuttals were just flat out lies. Now, unfortunately for old Maldavius, lying to save his own hide is not something that I would put past him, and Lurkwolf has evidence. For starters, the Telegram logs that Lurkwolf posted have supposedly not been adjusted since all the way back in 2018, and they do not include PirateSoftware's phone number. I say supposedly because I have no idea how I would check when the logs were created or whether or not they have been adjusted. However, I have not seen anyone refute this claim. The only phone number included in the logs is 2 instances of Lurkwolf's phone number, not PirateSoftware's. Lurkwolf additionally claims that PirateSoftware and Shay had reached out to Lurkwolf's partner at the time in 2019 and had convinced them to tell Lurkwolf to take the document down on the basis of the phone number being included. Moving on to the divorce point, Lurkwolf refutes this by just straight up pulling up divorce court filings that show that PirateSoftware was indeed married between the dates of October 17th, 2015 and February 18th, 2020. I have gone and checked, and yeah, this filing does appear to be real. As far as I'm concerned, Pirate Software was still married at TwitchCon 2018, despite his insistence otherwise. The final point, that being that Lyrical would set all of this up to scam Pirate Software, is already extraordinarily questionable on its surface. I mean, for one, charging back an $800 donation is at worst scummy. You're not generating any new money, and you're not stealing anything from Pirate Software. You're just paying transaction fees and sending your money to someone and then getting it back. The biggest point against the scam idea, however, is how much fucking money Lyrical had poured into Pirate Software, because the $800 donation wasn't it. He'd also poured thousands into the Heartbound Kickstarter project. To be fair to Pirate Software, however, I should mention that all this Kickstarter money was also refunded after the TwitchCon incident. However, the point stands. What the fuck is the scam here? Either way, as I mentioned previously, I am dubious of Lyrical's financial and sexual abuse claims. To me, it comes off as if Lyrical made a really bad financial decision by sending Pirate Software the $800, and additionally, it does come off as if Lyrical was consenting to their honestly grotesque exchange of messages and furry stickers, including anthropomorphic dog creatures showing its asshole. I also think the excessive use of psych terms is off-putting, and I would go as far as to say deranged when you look at Lyrical's website and almost every message displayed has some explanation of how Pirate Software is implementing Darvo tactics attached to it. Just let the evidence speak for itself, and if you want to add explanations, just put it under a screenshot, not whatever the fuck this is. For Lyrical to create the site, he had to adjust the messages themselves to include the honestly counterproductive psych term riddled explanations, which gave a lot of deluded Pirate Software fans the means to easily write off the authenticity of the messages. I got in contact with Lyrical and asked about this, and he clarified that yes, indeed, the annotations were originally there. However, after receiving some feedback about how it would distort the narrative, he removed them. On the point of authenticity though, if it wasn't for the 2 videos of Lyrical scrolling through his DMs with Pirate Software before and after Pirate Software had deleted evidence, then I highly doubt I would have even included this segment in the video. So other than being Pirate Software fans, can I really blame them for writing off the authenticity of the messages? While Pirate Software's behavior in this situation could be described as scummy or weird, it's not exactly evidence of emotional, financial, or sexual manipulation / abuse. What it is evidence of though is Pirate Software's readiness to lie to cover his ferret paw tracks, and his extraordinarily questionable history of sexualizing ferrets when he's supposed to be the same dude who runs a ferret sanctuary. I'm not claiming he's pulled a birdie and sexually abuses ferrets, because there is no evidence of that. What I am saying is that I would not be shocked if it came out that he had, and a guy who has evidently sexualized ferrets in the past is the last person I want running a sanctuary for them. It's like putting a pedophile in charge of an orphanage or a necrophile in charge of a morgue. I mean, even if they're not going to offend, do you really want them in that space? Oh, and I guess it's also evidence that he had a secret wife and cheated on Shay, which does remind me that wouldn't be the only time that Pirate Software has cheated.
In this house, we solve puzzles. And we don't look up the answers. Because where the hell's the fun in that, bud?
I'm not referring to cheating on a partner. As far as I'm concerned, Shay is the only person who's been burned by Pirate Software in that regard. Oh, and maybe that secret wife as well. No, I'm referring to when Pirate Software was cheating in a couple puzzle video games, one by the name of Outerwilds and the other being Animal World. Oh, there's also this clip, which I don't think is from either of those games, so we'll just get that out of the way first.
Wait a minute. I understand. Okay, think, ponder, realize. It's all about thinking about something. It's different words for this, and these statues are the thinker. Okay.
Wow, magnificent. This guy needs an Oscar. So yeah, to me, it seems as if he was reading chat and then put most of the word ponder in, at which point he began pondering how he was going to play it off, proceeding to give his greatest act yet. Yeah, so I cannot say for sure that he cheated. I don't have the full context, nor do I even know what the game is, to be honest with you. I just found this clip on OSF. But Pirate Software is shifty as fuck in this clip, and it does not look great, especially considering how damning the other 2 examples of cheating are. Welcome to Outer Wilds, a 3-dimensional puzzle game set in space with time loops, quantum mechanics, and other shit. Meet Doc P's Curious Collection, who I'll just call Doc P for brevity. Doc P released a video on January 18th, 2025, wherein he outlines his evidence for how Pirate Software not only repeatedly cheated in Outer Wilds whenever it would get stuck, but he also lied about it. The first instance of cheating that Doc P introduces is based around a puzzle that uses a concept called quantum objects. Essentially, quantum objects are objects that move when you're not looking at them. However, the player has a camera that they can use to take photos of these quantum objects and make them stay in place. In this specific puzzle, PirateSoftware is trying to get into this door frame. However, as you can see, it's also a quantum object. Notice how the platforms it teleports to are raised away behind a set of stairs and a pillar, making it so that you can't keep eye contact with the door frame if you were to approach it. Yeah, well, the obvious solution to this puzzle, bearing in mind that aforementioned quantum camera, would just to take a photo of it, right? Well, as DocP points out, despite having tutorial puzzles before this that introduced not only the quantum objects, but also the quantum camera, it seems as if PirateSoftware is figuring all this out for not only the first time, but extraordinarily slowly.
Observing a quantum object, observing an image from a quantum object, these are the same.
And by slowly, I mean it takes him a really long time, as in 10 minutes of walking around the fucking room doing nothing long time. At this point, PirateSoftware does something that you're going to see a lot, that being pull out his phone. Except he also bizarrely says this.
Image of a quantum object. We don't even have an image though. There's no image available. Image of a quantum object. Oh, by the way, I am not reading most of chat, and I cannot hear TTS today. So, if you're trying to talk to me using TTS, it will not work. It won't work. Yeah, you can hear TTS, but I can't, and I can't read chat, so.
Don't know why you're clarifying that, almost as if he's trying to throw in some qualifying statements to make it seem like he's not cheating, or to make his sudden miraculous solving of the puzzle even more amazing. Either way, he took a couple minutes of reading time to himself and unfortunately wasn't quite quick enough on the Googling. As a result, another one of Outerwilds' mechanics, that being the time loop, came in to cut him short.
Here it comes. Here it comes. There it goes. Observing the image of a quantum object. Observing a quantum object in the image of a quantum object.
Just for context, he has been in this room for 10 minutes. He hasn't thought about his picture mechanic the whole time. It gets better than this. It gets even better.
I'm going back there.
He's going back there.
So he makes a flight back to the puzzle and pretty much instantly solves it, despite not having used the camera once for the past 15 or so minutes, if not longer.
Quantum object in an image of a quantum object. There's nothing in the room that looks like the object, unless we make one. Wait a minute. I think I just solved it. Chat. I think I understand. I think I understand how to do this. I think I know actually how to do this. Observing a quantum object and observing the image of a quantum object are the same. We can take a picture of it, and as long as there is a picture of the quantum object on screen, we're observing it, and it shouldn't move. That's a really, really interesting goddamn mechanic if that's the way that this works, and I think it is the way that it works.
Unless you're hardcore, straight going for every single instant knowledge point and instant progress, you use this every now and then, because it's just part of your toolbox. So when the game talks about taking a picture, you immediately understand, take a picture with my picture taking device. It's not that hard. It took him 15 minutes. But it didn't take him 15 minutes to understand. It took him 15 minutes to suck ass and then Google it.
I'm gonna try it. I'm try it when we get there. And if that's the case, then I can use that for other things in the future. Come on. I want to test it. I want to test the thing. Bwong. If I look away from it now, it's still there. The camera works. We can pause it to stay in place permanently because we're looking at it. Technically. That portal no longer moves. Hey. I love that. That's an awesome mechanic.
Either way, Doc P goes on to his next example, which is the quantum moon puzzle. The quantum moon is much like the quantum door frame in the way that it moves when you're not looking at it. However, in this instance, it changes which planet it's orbiting. That mechanic as a whole is called quantum entanglement, or the rule of entanglement, which is one of the 3 prerequisite mechanics you need to know about in order to solve the quantum moon puzzle. As an additional part of the mechanic, any object that is not receiving light and is subsequently in a dark space is affected by quantum entanglement. And that also affects you, the player, if you are stood within that dark space. For example, the tile that facilitates the quantum moon puzzle is one of those objects that contains a dark space. As you can see here, he walks inside, turns off the lights, blinds himself with the flashlight, walks outside, and he's somewhere else. There's also apparently a cave accessible earlier in the game that teaches you this mechanic. However, Doc P also notes that Pirate Software never went there. However, you can realistically figure this mechanic out just by fucking around in the quantum tower like Pirate Software does. The second prerequisite mechanic is that quantum imaging stuff, which, as we covered, Pirate Software had already looked up. So, of course, Pirate Software took a photo of the quantum moon and then landed on it.
We've been to Adelrock. Oh, wait. No, I don't want to scout. I want to take a picture of it. There we go. Thank you. I think that was the quantum moon. I think I took a picture of it in time.
He also doesn't understand at first that you can take a picture in the ship. So he's doing some stupid shit here, which causes him to look away.
Scout. I want to take a picture of it. There we go. Thank you.
And then the moon is gone.
Can you take a picture? I don't think you can take a picture in time. Okay, I've taken a picture of it, technically. There we go. We got it. That's the quantum moon. That's it. Not getting away from me this time, bud. What are you? It'd be really cool if my ship could, like, stop sliding like it's on ice. That'd be awesome.
He also doesn't, but he doesn't understand this, he doesn't understand how the game works, actually, in terms of speed. So he figures out how to get in here. This is like a big moment if you figure out how to get to this moon. He makes it really awkward. There's also the notion in the fucking middle of the screen, which is insane.
And that leaves the third and final prerequisite mechanic, the rule of the 6th location, which I'm just gonna let Doc P explain.
This is what he just learned by Googling it. And because you need to go in the wiki page. I can show you the wiki page that he probably went to. It's this one, right? You go in here, he probably was reading this for a while, blah, blah, blah. It says quantum imaging somewhere here. Giant's Deep, you read this. A photo of the moon must be taken, he probably read that. And then understood. And then he kept reading. And then you get to this rule. Rule is the 6th location, which, 6th location. He doesn't know about this yet. You learn this somewhere over here. You learn this here. This is later. He doesn't know this. He doesn't know this. We 100% know that he doesn't know this. He hasn't read that yet. And what this rule is that you have to be at the North Pole. And the North Poles have not mattered in the game yet. North Poles have had no significance at all yet in the entire game, okay? So there's no reason to even think about the North Pole when you think about this rule.
The 6th location. I don't think I know the rule of the 6th location. What is the rule of the 6th location? We know the one of quantum imaging.
No release. And he knows he has to go to the North Pole. Even though he can't know that yet, but because he read the wiki.
The Eye of the Universe? We've never been there.
And then he just wanders out. Randomly wanders around. You can... Red is the North Pole, by the way. The red part, this is the North Pole. So he doesn't know about the North Pole thing, which means he can't really put this puzzle together. So what is he doing right now?
Gravity here is very thin. It'd be really cool if I could jump, though. I'm gonna try and get to the North Pole on this thing.
I'm trying to get to the North Pole on this thing. Why are you trying to get to the North Pole on this thing?
No, there's no getting up there.
Why? I would really love to know why. I haven't actually watched past this, so I don't know if he explains this. He just kind of says that.
Doc P goes on to explain the next puzzle that Pirate Software cheated on. However, I was a bit more curious, so I kept watching Pirate Software to see if he explained how he instinctively knew to go to the North Pole. And yeah, no, not really. I mean, it does seem like there are clues for it on the quantum moon. However, Pirate Software finds those well after he had already made the attempt to go to the North Pole for no apparent reason. Either way, let's go look at the tower puzzle that Pirate Software cheated on.
He gets here at like 8:7 or some shit. He gets here really early.
If you're making your first pilgrimage to the quantum moon, ascend these stairs and obtain the last of the knowledge you need for your journey. I already did the moon, though.
Essentially in this puzzle, PirateSoftware is trying to reach the top of this tower, however he can't because there's too much gravity in the area. The tower, however, is positioned above a black hole which it will fall into a bit before the reset happens. Upon falling into the black hole, the tower teleports out of the area where there is too much gravity and into an area where there is zero gravity, which allows you to fly up to the top floor. When the tower ends up collapsing into the black hole for PirateSoftware, he is stood on the roof with the room he wants to get into being directly below him.
What? 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 What?
He's just back in his ship now, because his ship also fell through the black hole. And now he's confused. What? Even though, like, at this point, you should turn around and look at the tower that you were just on. So now he goes into thinking mode. Let's enter think mode.
The planet fell apart. That's why. The planet fell apart. It got hit by all the volcanic explosions, and it fell apart. That's why I kept saying surface integrity 22% and all that stuff. I didn't realize that's what it was doing. Choice of death, thinking. Because what I was thinking is maybe if I used the scanner down there, that would work.
Yeah. The way I solved this puzzle, I also struggled on this. Like, I also didn't understand this, that the tower can fall and then it goes away, right? So I'm not blaming him for not understanding that. It's actually kind of tricky. The way I got it is I just randomly happened to look at the tower later on, right? I just randomly saw the tower next to the white hole and was like, oh my god, it's the tower. I can go in there now. That's crazy. That's kind of how you're supposed... Either way, if you don't understand it that way, you kind of just come across it, right? You know? You don't really just like... You don't... If he didn't turn around yet, then he didn't connect it yet. And he's not gonna connect it. Unless he's phone momenting down here to look at what happens.
But that didn't make any sense. Because the scanner down there wasn't actually doing anything. There has to be a way to get inside of that thing. I can't use the probe. The probe doesn't seem to matter. Unless I put the probe on the roof and then have that spin around. That's the only way to do that. Because you'd have to... I mean, the thing that I'm thinking about is if the pillar can actually go up, right? If the pillar can... Or the pillar can go down, and then we can use it as a climbing platform, but it doesn't appear to go down like that. And I don't think that's how that works. Maybe it's not with the scanner. Maybe there's a different way.
I'm pretty sure that was the moment when he understood. Because, okay, you saw that fucking move? I was like, oh my god, I'm so fucking stupid.
Maybe it's not the scanner at all. Maybe it's the time. Maybe the fact that we were able to destroy the surface like that was the point.
And then he understands it immediately. And now he's gonna turn around and just go there.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I have an idea. I have a stupid idea.
Wait a minute, he's so fucking intelligent.
The timeline is about to collapse. But look.
But look, it's there. And I just discovered that through thinking really hard.
No, goddammit. Out. God damn it.
What a genius. And the only information he discovers here is the information he already read on the wiki 4 hours ago. All he discovers here is stuff he already cheated himself.
Look at how much he leans when he's flying in. It's like the G-force is actually being applied to him.
No. Drop it. Oh my god, drop it. Ah, it pauses. Welcome, Selenum. Your arrival here means you've completed your preparations on Giant's Deep and are ready to depart for the Quantum Moon. Why? That was such a weird way to do this, to be honest with you.
It's a weird way to do this because you cheated and did it in the wrong order.
On your pilgrimage, the Quantum Moon will carry you, just as it carried me and many in our clan before me, to the moon's 6th and most secret location. You'll be aided in your pilgrimage by the shrine our clan built on the Quantum Moon. Shouldn't be exploding, time should be paused. It's not pausing time. Remember this final rule. To explore the sixth location, the shrine must be in the pole's north moon. Be curious in your journey. I already did that. I didn't even need this puzzle. Oh, I didn't even need the puzzle. I didn't even need it.
I don't know what's dumb with the fact that he can't solve these puzzles without the help of Google, or the fact that he thinks people won't notice him using his phone for an extended period of time whenever he gets frustrated, and then suddenly solving the puzzle within the same few minutes. Don't worry, there is another phone grab example which Doc P presented.
Because there's no other way to do it. Because gravity is too high in here. I don't know if we can. I don't know if there's enough time. Supernova? I think the supernova is going to happen soon, and I'm going to run out of oxygen, too. Which is not the best. It's fine, technically. I'll check it out, Protovex. I haven't seen it yet. Relic Hunter's Legend? Yeah, I haven't seen it, dude.
Wait a minute, I thought he said that he doesn't have chat on for this stream. Why is he talking to chat now? Regardless, this cave chamber that he's in is on a huge ocean world that contains an electrified core and a bunch of big-ass jellyfish. The way you're supposed to get into the electrified core is by hopping into one of the jellyfish. Now the way you do that is by going through the bottom of it where it is not electrified without your ship. The way you're supposed to find this information out is by talking to a guy called Feldspar. However, PirateSoftware has never spoke to the guy. With that information in mind, have a guess as to the conclusion that PirateSoftware comes to when his extended thinking session is complete.
I still think I have to use the jellyfish somehow to get into that core. I still do. No, I didn't delete the message. It's a bot. When you're not subbed, if you try to link something in chat, it automatically deletes it, dude. The tornado is coming. Ow. That's fine. It's fine. I didn't need that brain case anyway. Well, time to blow up, chat.
So much like with the quantum doorframe puzzle, being aware that a time loop was inbound, PirateSoftware didn't attempt to make any progress on the jellyfish puzzle, instead opting to think really hard. However, listen to what he starts talking about the moment that the time loop occurs.
There has to be another way to use those jellyfish. There has to be. Because the core is electrified, and the jellyfish can move through it. What if I was just approaching the jellyfish wrong?
Okay, this is getting a bit ridiculous. Jason, buddy, you're not supposed to let on that you know the solution to the puzzle before you've solved it. You did it with the quantum door puzzle too. Don't let your ego get ahead of yourself.
I wonder if I just approached the jellyfish incorrectly. It's the only thing I can think of at this point.
He says that as he's looking at a board quite literally filled to the brim with other shit he could think of. Why is he so fixated on the fucking jellyfish?
Okay, we solved a bunch of this stuff. The ocean is surprisingly calm beneath the current. Some sort of electrical field surrounds the planet's core. Feldspar headed off to Dark Bramble after reaching the core of Giant's Deep. There's gotta be something with those goddamn jellyfish. He reached the core. He went inside the core.
So why don't you go talk to Feldspar then? Because you haven't Googled the solution to finding him yet, or what?
That core is the key. There's something in there that I need. I don't know what it is.
I'm sure you don't.
There's something in there, and I don't know what it is yet. But we're gonna find it. We're gonna find it, we're gonna learn about it. And once I learn about it, the game can't take it away from me anymore.
Yeah, the more he says it, the more I believe him.
Well, that's a weird looking thing. Oh, shit.
Yeah, anyway, you get the whole story. He flies back and instantly solves the puzzle by entering the bottom of the jellyfish after attempting and failing with his ship first. Again, I want to thank Doc P for making this video covering this, because without it, I doubt people would know that PirateSoftware had cheated in Outerwilds. Mostly because who the fuck is watching an 11.5 hour long PirateSoftware video without passing out as well? Additionally, I want to thank him for allowing me to include his coverage within my video. That is much appreciated, and his channel is linked below. But anyway, interestingly, PirateSoftware has since addressed this particular cheating allegation in this clip.
Why did you cheat in Outer Wilds? What? How the hell would you cheat in that game? Bro, we played it all live on stream. Alright, bud. It's a wild-ass thing to say. What the hell?
The yelling mute with 500 bits said I had a thought last night.
What's up?
The people who bring hate trains are vampires. They never seem to rest. Running water and sunlight seems lethal to them, and above all, they suck. Textbook vampire behavior.
Sounds like a vampire, dude. You were typing and they assumed you were Googling? No? I was probably playing Monster Hunter. Like, I've been playing that shit on phone for ages. I always keep it right here. Unless I was typing to somebody or texting to somebody. I don't freaking know. I'll have to see what the hell they're talking about.
Oh, of course. How can I be so foolish? Playing Monster Hunter on your phone every single time you've been struggling on a puzzle for upwards of 10 minutes. For clarity, it makes perfect sense. Anyway, it's about time that we look at Pirate Software cheating in Animal World because it's arguably even more egregious. The creator, not LEMMiNO, released an hour-long video on January 21st, 2025, covering how Pirate Software had cheated in the game Animal World. So according to LEMMiNO, Animal World makes Outerwilds look like baby's first puzzle game, with puzzles that the developer wasn't even sure would be found, and others that took the community upwards of a week to pull their knowledge together and solve it. The best mainstream example I can think of something similar to the puzzles in Animal World would be Call of Duty Zombies Easter eggs, except I think Animal World's puzzles can be several times more difficult and arbitrary in some instances. Then we have Pirate Software, who would like you to believe that he sauntered on into Animal World on launch week and beat the entirety of the game, including the game's most difficult final puzzle, with only the occasional help of his chat. Again, leaning on the zombies comparison, that would be like if Pirate Software wandered on into Gorod Krovi or Transit on launch week and then solved the whole fucking Easter egg with no help. One of the standout achievements of Pirate Software's playthrough of the game was the 16 rabbit puzzles he solved. This is absurd because from what I've gathered, most players don't even find one rabbit puzzle, let alone solve 16. I won't go through each of the individual puzzles because all that's really needed to express the point is looking at one of the rabbit puzzles and the aforementioned final/secret puzzle of the game, the wingdings. For reference, here's a clip of LEMMiNO explaining one of the rabbit puzzles he had personally solved and why he does not believe that Pirate Software solved it legitimately.
Here there's two walls. You have like a clicker, you click, and when you click, it's like the blocks in Mario, right? Like they alternate. So if this goes on, this goes off, and vice versa, right? You gotta click while being inside here, and then you can move to the right. But there is no clicker receiver here, so you can't do that. The solution is that when you stand somewhere and you jump off of it and you die, you will get sent back to where you last stood. So what you gotta do is you gotta jump off here on Bubbles to another map, click it to switch it, and then you gotta die somewhere in water before you touch the ground. Then the game will remember the last place you stood, which is in between here. You go back here and then you can move on. It's a very, very convoluted thing. The way I learned how to do this is that there is a part of the map near the fish domain where you basically float on a bubble really far down, and you gotta do like this switch alternator puzzle where if you fall anywhere there, you get sent all the way back. And that's what made me realize that, oh, it's not because, you know, the game is forcing you to fall back there, but that's just how the game works. So when it remember where you stood last, and you get sent there when you die. And also, the switches are global. So if you click a switch on the other side of the map, it will also alternate every other thing connected to switches in the entire game. You know when you complete a math test, your teacher will say, oh, you got the answer right, but all your progress was wrong. When he solves it here, it's just like, it's so immediate. He immediately just knows everything. All the dots are connected like, boom, immediately.
It's this. I don't know what to do here. Each environment doesn't save state between you leaving the room and coming back in, correct? This one does. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's gonna change back, isn't it? I understand. When you jump off of a ledge, it saves your state at that location. Jumping off of a ledge saves your state until you hit the ground again. Staying on bubbles doesn't do that. We've seen that throughout the entirety of the game. I have to jump off of that ledge, use bubbles the entire way, flip the switch, and then jump in the water up there to teleport back to where I was here. That's insane.
It's just bullseye, 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 bullseye. This can happen. It can happen, but there are so many. It's again with Dream. There's so many bullseyes in a row that they're starting to get a little bit suspicious, right?
Pirate Software then goes on to do the bunny math puzzle, which LEMMiNO had no clue about.
Now then, we needed 16 rabbits, nibble index, struct, but also this.
I didn't solve this one. I couldn't even come close to solving this one. I gave up before this happened. In my playthrough, I got some of the rabbits done.
Ear up, 1, 2. Ears down, 8. I've no idea what's going on. Don't worry. Most of my brain doesn't either. The part of my brain that solves things does, though, and that's fine.
I didn't realize your web browser was a part of your brain. You're like a cyborg or something? That's kind of cool. I would explain to you how he cheated in this puzzle, but honestly, I have no idea what the fuck he is talking about.
1 ear down, 1, 2. 2 ears down, 8. And to the right is 0, down is 1, left is 2, and 3 is up. Oh yeah, there's the UV bunny too. Shit. So theirs is 8, 12. But if it's binary, then it's 0, 0, 1, 0. It's a nibble. It's 4. It's 4 bits. Just like it said. It's a nibble.
Is this what being insane is like? This solving segment does go on for quite a while, and I watched all of it, but he basically just sounds like Alex Mason for 10 minutes.
We want the numbers, Mason. That's all we've ever wanted.
However, this combination, this big fuck-off list of numbers that, might I add, he wrote entirely off of stream as far as I can tell, and well, when you look at that, contains the entirely correct directions for the puzzle.
This is our full data set. It is 16 rabbits. Do you know how I know it's 16 rabbits? Because the memory space only allows 0 through 3. And all of these rabbits are out of order, except when you put all of them together, they take up all of the memory spots. Every single one of them. All the address spaces are taken up by instructions. There's no space left over. Hey, rabbit math. Rabbit math. Now, this doesn't allow angle diagonals, which means I don't think this is a song. I think it's movement. I think it's movement. Because if it was a song, we'd have angles. It'd come out to 1 through 8. Right? So I'm pretty sure this is going to come out to the Manticore movement. Makes the most sense to me, because that's the unique thing in this environment. I think I've finally gotten to like a space where I feel comfortable solving this dude's puzzles. They seem correct now. So I'm going to follow the instructions here. And we're going to move with our Manticore. Up. Left. Up.
Anyway, look at Jason's reaction when he solves this convoluted as fuck puzzle first try and unlocks the ability to fly.
What? I'm a bug now? I can just fly now. I can just fly at any time now. I'm a Mothman.
You see that face? You hear that voice? He is most definitely surprised that he can fly right now, and I'm sure that he wasn't already well aware that would happen. It is theoretically possible for Jason to have solved a couple of these puzzles, but to do them all one after another, step by step, without trying anything incorrect first is genuinely fucking absurd, and I'd personally say impossible for a guy who doesn't carry a mana gem. It's almost as if he had a guide up on his second monitor or watched one between streams, but no, surely not, right? Not my sweet innocent Jason.
In this house, we solve puzzles. And we don't look up the answers. Because where the hell's the fun in that, bud?
Either way, the only thing left for Pirate to do now is the wingding puzzle. So we'll go have a look at the opening step, and then we will jump ahead to the end of the puzzle where PirateSoftware finally solves it.
There's gotta be something more. There's no reason to give me this if there isn't another puzzle. There has to be more. There's 4 more rabbits at least. I don't even know what to do with this now. I guess we could just check the whole map, yeah? The wombat's probably not gonna react to this, is he? Yeah, no, unless he's a groundhog.
Wait, what the fuck do you mean unless he's a groundhog? Why would a groundhog react to you being a bug and a wombat wouldn't?
It's time to get weird. It's time to get weird, chat. I have an interesting idea. I think it's time to figure out what the hell the groundhog does. We mockingly call him a wombat, but it is more likely that he is a groundhog.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was referring to it as a wombat for the past week of playing the game, then miraculously, or you know, after he read a guide in between streams, decided to start referring to it as a groundhog. Anyway, I'll let him continue.
Seeing as he does not want to come out of the hole, I'm gonna try something weird. I'm gonna go to the main menu, I'm gonna go to my system time. I'm gonna change my system time. I'm changing the date to Groundhog Day, which I believe is February 2nd. Date and time has been changed. I'm gonna load my game. You son of a bitch. I have 5 hearts. I'm gonna load my game again. He does not wish to say hello. I'm gonna go to my system time, and I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change my system time to 2025. Load the game. I have 6 hearts. This is it.
Bro, what in the fuck are you talking about? Let me remind you that this creature was a wombat to him like 10 minutes ago, and now he's changing his system time to collect potions from the groundhog. Does that make a lick of sense to you? Because it certainly doesn't to me. Anyway, PirateSoftware goes on to instinctively know the next step, which is to fly around the map and do various arbitrary and obscure tasks to piss off animals so they swear at you and you get the wingdings as a result. Then of course, as mentioned, he goes on to complete the wingdings puzzle, although I do want to note that much like in Outerwilds, he went and completed the most difficult puzzle in the game without all of the required knowledge, because in this instance, he didn't even have all the wingdings yet.
Not for sure it would be in here, would it? Wait a minute. Wait. It's the lengths. It's the lengths. This is 4 blocks wide. This is 4 blocks wide. This goes in the top left. I'm not insane. I'm not insane. No. I'm not. I haven't gone insane. That isn't true.
It's the random poster in the background! It's the random... Oh, yeah? Yeah, you think? Just like that? That's it? Oh, of course it is! Of course it's the random poster! That's the map, guys! Yeah! It's that thing! Yep! Yeah, no, that has to be it! Yep! Just like that. Of course, yeah. What fucking else could it be? Out of the million things in this game, the huge game with obscure puzzles. Yeah, oh, Eureka! It's that thing, yeah. And it just... How do you even figure this out?
What the fuck, Nugget? By the way, I'm really not expressing just how absurd PirateSoftware's various logic leaps and conclusions are with just these clips. If you are interested in the more details, you can go watch Not Albino's coverage. I do recommend it. The last example that might express is the step meter or pedometer puzzle, because despite not approaching it once throughout the entire game, PirateSoftware finds it instantly when he needs to, which is during the wingdings puzzle. It's actually obnoxious how obvious it is that he looked up a guide in between streams. Like, look, I'll just let it play out how it does in his video, and you pay attention to when his shirt changes.
Yeah, you can't get him. There's no way to get him. There's no way to get the squirrel. Back at Animal Well. We've done it. And I think there's a thing there, because if we look all the way down here, there's a divot here. And we know that the map goes... Here, let's make sure that this is exactly the same. Let's go all the way up to the top. All right. This could be real. I could be sane.
Holy fuck, brother. Just give it a minute. You just started streaming. You're already trying to look intelligent with your cheated knowledge.
There we go. Now we're fine. I bet this'll work. Damn right. Sane. What is this? What does that mean? What does that mean? Why is there a chest in it? Chests always have eggs. We have all the eggs, don't we?
Yeah, anyway, of course he miraculously knows that the solution to the puzzle is to let the pedometer tick over 100,000 when he's inside of it, which of course he proceeds to do.
Oh no. What happens when we get to 100? Oh, god damn it, dude. What is... Ooh, okay, we're gonna stay inside of the machine now, because we're really close. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. A pedometer. What is it? What does it mean? Wait, there's another one. Peacock figurine. Otter figurine. What? We have another one. We have another one. We have another one. We have another one. Oh shit. Okay, we got another. Hell yes.
Honestly, the way I interpret all this is as the Nepo baby's fragile ego being so large he can't bear the thought of failing a puzzle on stream, or he just wants to be seen as a mega genius. I think it's a bit of both though, to be honest. Either way, he did end up responding to criticism with this clip and a pinned comment under the Animal Well long play video.
Yeah. Did he elaborate on Animal Well? Yeah, I actually put a pinned comment underneath that YouTube video that everyone's freaking out about. We played that game for 83 hours live on stream, my dude. Like, you're watching an edited down short of that that's 7 hours long. That's why. Yeah, we played it for 83 hours, and we actually did it like a week after launch. So there's a bunch of people that are trying to say that, you know, it took weeks for the community to solve this shit, but in reality, like, we did that, like, a few days after launch. So, like, no. And also, there was nothing on there that said we did that blind. We were playing around with the community. Everybody was trying to chip in to give it answers and shit. It took us, like, 5-6 hours for most of those puzzles. I did that over an entire week. It was like 6 days of...
This is such a fucking stupid defense. Okay, let's start with the collaborating with chat point.
That for sure it would be in here, wouldn't it? Wait a minute. Wait. I'm not insane. I'm not insane. No. I'm not. I haven't gone insane. That isn't true. Yes. Yes, chat. This is it. This is it. And you all thought I was insane. Not this time. This time I was completely sane. Completely and totally sane, Chad. You can't take it away from me now. Now I can read the runes. It's too late. It's too late now, Chad. I've become too powerful.
Why the fuck was PirateSoftware trying to play himself off as some genius who solved the puzzle not only by himself, but despite the fact that his chat was calling him crazy then? This poster and the rabbit puzzles, which are supposed to be the most difficult late game puzzles in the game, are what PirateSoftware is receiving criticism for, not the rest of the 7 hours of cut down content of him doing the relatively easy puzzle in the game. Now when it comes to the multiple streams over the course of 83 hours point, well yeah, of course, the only way it would have been possible for PirateSoftware to complete the game if he started playing on launch like he claims, is for it to have taken a week, because the answers for the difficult puzzles wouldn't have been out till by then. LEMMiNO made it explicitly clear in his video that the 7-hour long play was footage cut down from over the course of a week. No one was claiming that some of the solving process wasn't cut out. PirateSoftware is receiving criticism because he did all of the hardest puzzles of the game over the course of his last 2 streams of the game, and he tried to play himself off as a genius who figured it all out himself while his chat was calling him crazy. Now when it comes to the shirt, well, that's how I know he solved all the hardest puzzles over the course of 2 streams, because he was wearing this shirt and this shirt throughout it. None of what PirateSoftware said refutes the idea that he read a guide between streams, or fuck, even had one up on his second monitor. Anyway, it's time to join Maldavius and EVE Online.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, yes, I'm a big space villain. You know, like, I'm the leader of Accolade. We're the big spooky triangle people that live in Ponchman, the largest alliance in there. You're going to get a lot of enemies from that. And, you know, inside of the game, I get to be Maldavius, the leader of that. Outside of the game, I'm just myself, you know, and I want to make this game as cool as it can possibly be.
Now we may know Maldavius as a furry nepo baby who's into knotted animal cocks. However, there is one part of the internet that knows the name Maldavius for a very different reason, and that would be the EVE Online community. PirateSoftware used to play EVE Online several years ago, around 2021, with the username Maldavius, which he also likes to share stories about on stream. Explaining World of Warcraft mechanics to you was already a task in itself, and I actually play that game. So excuse me, EVE experts, if I get some shit wrong. The point is that a layman understands what PirateSoftware has done within the game and the discrepancies in how he describes it. Now when it comes to EVE Online itself, all you really need to understand is that it's a huge open-ended sandbox MMORPG where pretty much all of the structures and ships are made by players, which, while it does sound cool, is in practice basically just a spreadsheet simulator with 3D graphics. Well, you see, PirateSoftware released a video by the name of EVE Offline on September 4th, 2024, which ended up getting 1.3 million views. Within the video, he outlined why he quit the game. A bit under half a year later, on the 23rd of January, a EVE Online YouTuber by the name of Loru Gaming released a video that outlined how PirateSoftware's story was harmful to the EVE Online community because it was not only biased, but filled with misinformation. One thing I'd like to note is that from pretty much frame 1 of PirateSoftware's EVE Offline video, you can tell from his chat that he's opened the story by claiming that the EVE Online developers had a personal vendetta against him. Within the video, PirateSoftware told the story of when a new pocket dimension region of space formed of 27 star systems was introduced to the game. And this region was called Ponchman. Before Ponchman was introduced and encompassed those aforementioned 27 star systems, these systems were all essentially neutral space that was up for grabs. PirateSoftware claims that he and his alliance, Accolade, partook in the battle for these 27 systems before they became Parchment in October of 2020, and they continued holding about a third of the Parchment region for a few months into 2021. There was one major difference between star systems that were encompassed in the Parchment region and star systems that were within other regions in the game, and that would be the fact that you could not build structures within the Parchment region. Apparently, this is a big fucking deal because in EVE, structures such as stations are crucial for corporations to make the most of a system. Think implementing things like tax rates or deciding who's allowed to dock, etc, etc. Think of corporations as player-run guilds, and then alliances are above that as groups of guilds. And then you have factions, which I'll just describe as developer-designed cultures which act as an overarching cause for alliances to work together and further. Subsequently, players including PirateSoftware's alliance, Accolade, began filling the systems with structures before they were deemed Parchment and would not allow for any new structures to be made. If any of the player-made space stations, for example, in Parchment were blown up, they could not be replaced, and as such, that system would essentially provide as much function as NPC-controlled space. Here is how PirateSoftware described that situation.
So when we got 27 stars, those stars formed into a place in space, a pocket dimension called Pochvin that looked like this. And we owned a full third of this, because as we had been taking these stars, we were dropping structures in them. And when it moved into Pochvin, those structures stayed, and now they couldn't be replaced. If a structure gets destroyed in Pochvin, it never comes back. You can never anchor a new one. It's gone. So these were unique, and we were the powerhouse that owned that space.
Now, funnily enough, this is seemingly where the first exaggeration is, because I found a Reddit thread which includes posts from people who claim to have not only been around in EVE at the time, but also bring receipts. This Redditor by the name of Tosaevsky states that aside from within 2 systems, all of the structures that PirateSoftware owned within the region were purchased from other players after the region had become Parchment. Regardless, PirateSoftware and his alliance were notably fighting on the side of the Triglavian Collective, which is one of those aforementioned factions within the game that players could join up with and represent. Now, if I'm not mistaken, up until the introduction of the Parchment region, the Triglavians did not have a home system and were more like a nomadic warband, which is a part of what motivated them to try and conquer the 27 systems of Parchment. The Triglavians were actually successful in conquering the Parchment region, and as such, it was split between 3 major alliances, Accolade, PirateSoftware's alliance being one of them. Yeah, the only issue is the new content in Parchment was broken, or more specifically, the dread sites were broken. Think of dread sites as EVE Online's equivalent to a dungeon or raid like Diremaul and WoW. It's high-level group content that requires multiple players to work together to take down NPCs and bosses. The issue they had is that they would give players negative rewards, like you would finish the boss and then it would subtract money from your account. The really big fucking problem though was the negative reputation, because in Parchment you needed reputation to access the entry gates, which meant that doing the content within Parchment locked you in or out of the Parchment system. Not entirely though, because from my understanding there were 2 other methods of traveling in and out of a system like Parchment, that being wormholes, which are randomly appearing gates that take you to God knows where, and filaments, which I guess are pocket wormholes. They take you to fuck knows where. Thank you to Laurie Gaming, because I would be fucking lost without his coverage explaining all this shit. I also think it's worth noting that he has extra expertise when it comes to this topic, because as far as I'm concerned, at least at the time of when he released his video, he was a part of the alliance that was in charge of Parchment. Now, I'm gonna let PirateSoftware pick up the explanation from here, because according to Loru, everything I've explained is correct up until this point. However, this is the part of the story where PirateSoftware begins to come off as bitter or entitled.
The problem was this: it didn't work. It was broken. When we got to that section of space, they had one piece of content. This was called a dread site raid. The dread sites, for the first like 2 or 3 months, did not function. Imagine going into a raid with 15 people and you kill the boss, and then afterwards the boss gives you negative reputation and negative money. That's what happened. And every week we would talk to the devs, and every week they would try to get us to test it on live servers again with our live characters for 2.5 to 3 months. We lost 70% of our online players. About half of these people never came back. It was a goddamn mess.
Now, I don't know if this number is accurate, but I can tell you that I believe this number. I believe this number because This is frickin' ridiculous. It is.
Now, there are a few additional criticisms that Laurie raises, and I am in full agreement with them. For starters, how is a development team actually working with their players a bad thing? I mean, sure, it can be frustrating if the content is broken, but just go to a different star system that doesn't have new and untested content in it if you don't want to deal with bugs. EVE Online, from my understanding, for better or for worse, has always been developed this way on the live servers because the players are not only the ones who dictate the political and structural layout of the sandbox, but also the story of the game. PirateSoftware is making it sound like the developers were forcing his alliance to stay there and test the broken dread sites, when in reality his alliance was just stubborn enough that they would rather lose 70% of their active player base than just go elsewhere in the fucking galaxy and do any of the other tens of thousands of hours of content. Considering old Maldavius was supposedly in a leadership position in his alliance, Accolade, well, I think I know where that stubbornness came from. Yeah, it's his fucking ego, as per usual, except in this instance, he wanted to be the guy who controlled all the new systems added to the game. Now sure, to be fair, the EVE Online developers should just test new content on a test server like any other normal fucking live service game developer. But the point still stands. No one was forcing PirateSoftware and his alliance to test the broken dread sites. And if they'd just given up the systems to some other group, they probably wouldn't have lost 70% of their player base. That's not the developer's fault. Honestly, I don't even think they needed to give up the parchment systems either. They just didn't need to play the broken dread site content within, but insisted on it anyway for whatever reason. Either way, here's PirateSoftware to continue his elaboration on how the EVE Online developers personally hated him.
And we got pissed, and eventually they finally fixed it, but then they put a target on our back because they have this thing inside of EVE Online called the economic report. The economic report actually tells you how much money each area of space actually makes, and they finally released the economic report 1 month after they fixed our area of space. So imagine 3 months of the game just being shit and us being broke and nothing working. And then 1 month later, they release an economic report after they fix everything. And now everyone thinks we've been making a shitload of money in a pocket of space that no one can touch us in.
The monthly economic report, the MER, is something that happens. CCP Games did not include, it sounds like based on his story, CCP Games did not, the devs did not include Pochfin in the MER. It shows where the ISK is in the game.
So of course I went back and looked through the EVE monthly economic reports between the months of August 2020 and March 2021 and found that despite what PirateSoftware wants you to believe, Pochfin has been included in every single monthly economic report from September 2020 onwards. This is notably a whole month before the Pochfin region was introduced to the game. I'm assuming this is because of the fact that the 27 star systems that Pochfin is made up of were already in the game, they just weren't considered a part of the Pochfin region until October. So no, the EVE Online developers were obviously not painting a fucking target on PirateSoftware's back, they were just releasing their monthly economic report that, alongside a shitload of other information, included the fact that Pochfin was now making a metric shitload of money, which obviously was due to the dread sites suddenly being fixed, which, mind you, are supposed to be high reward in-game content. I mean, what did PirateSoftware expect? For the developers to give them preferential treatment and not include Pochfin in the monthly economic report or misreport statistics because he wants them to? According to Laura, this monthly economic report is closely monitored by all the big corporations and alliances within the game as what the fuck, bro? As it helps them decide what their goals and next course of action should be. I'm starting to think the only reason that PirateSoftware's alliance was even capable of holding the Pochfin territory was because no one else wanted it until those dread sites started pumping out a metric shitload of cash.
So after that economic report came out, we're like, Jesus Christ, we started having to fight battles and it was super annoying, but we got good at it.
Actually, I had to stop fighting battles. Yeah, I think that about confirms my theory. I also highly doubt that he and his guild got any good at the game considering his performance in Ashes of Creation and World of Warcraft. He thinks that because he was... Oh my god, why does he do this? Yeah, he has a cat door now, he can leave at any time. I don't know what the fuck he's tweaking about. This is just straight up entitlement from PirateSoftware. He thinks that because he was a dumb fuck who killed his alliance's active player base by hunting on some buggy, worthless territory, he is owed the Pochfin systems for the foreseeable future, which is just not how EVE Online works. If someone who is better equipped and has more friends and connections than PirateSoftware wants the Pochfin system for themselves now that it's fixed, well, they're gonna take it. That's just how a social sandbox MMO works.
There's some people on the internet that literally cannot handle conflict. And if you can't handle conflict, then you should not be playing a social sandbox game. Like, straight up. Games like this are made or broken based on interplayer interaction, including conflict.
This is not some personal vendetta from the developers, but either way, I'll let PirateSoftware continue pleading his case.
And then 1 month later, they release an economic report after they fix everything, and now everyone thinks we've been making a shitload of money in a pocket of space that no one can touch us in. Yeah, and no other player will believe you because it's EVE Online. So yeah, that sucked. So that was cool to see. And the devs never actually put out a statement about this. They never told anyone that it was broken, so everyone thought we were lying about it, but we weren't, which was cool.
I absolutely do not believe this. As established, there is the monthly economic report which would display this information to the entire community, and I've additionally found posts talking about how Parchment is broken. To be fair, I didn't see any of those mentioned dread sites in particular, but I'm sure it wasn't a fucking secret that they were broken until the month that they were fixed, like PirateSoftware is trying to paint it. Either way, PirateSoftware goes on to peddle his most egregious lie yet.
We managed to close all the wormholes in our area of space because wormholes would open up at random. We could stop people from coming in, and the only other way you could get in was through a filament. Well, every one of these systems that was on our side of space and all around Pochven would require a certain amount of reputation to get through the gate. If you didn't have the reputation, you couldn't get in, right? So you had to use a filament that would teleport you into one of these locations randomly. So you could show up on our store, like on our doorstep, or you could show up in an area where you couldn't get to us. And that was it. And if we controlled our wormholes, you couldn't get to us anyway, so we had a good counterplay. But we had to constantly maintain this sort of behavior. Every day, we had groups. On the minute that that wormhole would spawn, we would roll the wormhole. And this meant absolute regimented behavior. At all times, we had to be on staff. At all times, we had to have a scanner there and a group ready to destroy that wormhole when it spawned. And if we didn't do it, people would get it and kill us.
EVE players in chat, did what you just heard, does that describe endgame EVE Online life for nullsec, for some lowsec, and especially wormhole space? Did what he just described, having to defend your borders from people that are coming in to take the ISK areas? Rifter, am I right, dude?
So we got really good at it. We got very good at controlling our area of space, just like any other wormhole corporation would be. And then CCP, the creators of EVE Online, decided to change the rules. And they said, hey, we're going to focus on Pochven for the next entire quarter of the game, which is the next 3 months. We're like, oh shit, they're going to fix some stuff. This is going to be awesome, right? Well, they didn't. They said the first thing we're going to work on is the access to the region. And we were like, that might be cool. Yeah, they just removed the reputation requirement on our gates. That was it. Suddenly, anyone in the game, anywhere in space, at any time, could teleport to our home.
At the time of of CCP games increased the access.
Yeah, so I did look it up, and I have to correct Laura on one thing. As far as I'm concerned, PirateSoftware never made it to being a fully fledged CSM. He got eliminated in the candidacy phase. Laura is correct though. One of the ideas that Maldavius ran on was more access to the Pochven region. I feel like it's important to note that PirateSoftware's solution was a little bit more specific. He said that Triglavian diamond rats should chase players if they entered without the correct reputation requirements. I assume a Triglavian diamond rat is some hard-to-beat NPC that's obviously associated with the Triglavians. The Redditor CMY88 described PirateSoftware's solution as, and I quote, pure cancer. So maybe not the best idea. Either way, the broad message that PirateSoftware was pushing for was increased access to the Pochven system, which despite complaining about directly after, he did take partial credit for. Somewhat on note, while I was looking for more elaboration on his CSM campaign, I discovered some interview footage from June of 2021 in which PirateSoftware elaborated on his experiences in Pochven, and I have to say it is pretty fucking wretched.
There have been a lot of concerns about Strybog being just another, power block, the blue toe nut, comments about you saying Pochven is for Strybog or something like that. Like, so let's
I've never said that. I've literally never said Pochven is for Strybog, but all right.
My bad. Somebody had brought that to my attention, and therefore, I hadn't verified it, but that's my whole point. There's a lot said about you.
That's funny.
And so I just wanted to give you the platform to respond to some of that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, yes, I'm a big space villain. You know, like, I'm the leader of Accolade. We're the big spooky triangle people that live in Parchment, the largest alliance in there. You're going to get a lot of enemies from that. And, you know, inside of the game, I get to be Maldavius, the leader of that. Outside of the game, I'm just myself, you know, and I want to make this game as cool as it can possibly be.
I'd previously read this Reddit comment about how PirateSoftware roleplayed as an evil villain who constantly got his shit pushed in whenever he pissed off enough people, which just sounded way too good and cartoonish to be true, but I suppose I should just not be surprised with this guy anymore. Either way, back to the Parchment story, picking up from when the EVE Online developers had just removed their reputation requirements from the entry gates. PirateSoftware's complaints have shifted from talking about how there wasn't enough access to the Parchment system to how the EVE Online developers had ruined the Parchment system by removing the reputation requirements on the entry gates, which is the narrative that he still continues to push to this day.
EVE Online is a game about distance. If you are far away from your opponent, they have inherent defensive capability because it's hard to get to them. We had no defense anymore, at all.
You have a defense, it's called players. I don't know how much this guy played EVE before. I actually don't know. Here's why it's not good. This video has 1 million views. Okay. This is a lot of people's only view of what EVE Online is, and he's describing it as an administrative nightmare, as a unfun experience. When he chose to stay in the bugged area, when he didn't be a good leader and lead his people out of area of space, and complains about basics in the game, player versus player action. Goodness gracious, dude.
People could just teleport to us and kill us at any time, and we went, well, time to have a war. And we had a war every single day for the next 2 months.
Like the rest of EVE Online.
The endless entitlement does not end there.
Now, while this was going on, remember that one thing that I said with the dread sites that was our only form of income? There was an exploit that was found.
Oh, quick detour to establish that according to the current CSM of Parchment and my research, what he's about to describe is not an exploit, it's an intended game mechanic.
And then an exploit came in, and I agree with you to a point, Flea Harvey. Okay, I'm glad you're here, Flea Harvey. Oh, so, ladies and gentlemen, a current CSM for Parchment is in chat. Give me some 07s for Flea Harvey. It's great to see you, Flea.
I found this forum post in which someone described it as seagulling and notably also said that all of the Triglavian alliances had been reporting it, not just Accolade. That's a detail that's important for later, but for now, just understand that what he is about to explain is not an exploit.
The exploit was called seagulling. You could have 15 people in the group, and if you got to 16 people, that 16th person would make it so that all of the money that dropped, because it split evenly between people, wouldn't split evenly anymore. It would drop it by about 50% and then split evenly. So it crashed the shit out of our earnings. A player found out that if they go to the gate, which is kind of like the portal to the entrance of the dungeon, and shoot it, and then cloak up and fly away, they could then sit there cloaked until the NPC boss would say, I'm gonna die, and then they would just uncloak and they would count as the 16th player. When they removed the reputation standing for the gates, there were dozens of alts in every one of our runs. We went from making millions of ISK per player to thousands of ISK per player, which is the in-game currency. It destroyed us. So we started reporting this to EVE, like to CCP. We had over 300 reports in. We did this for months, and CCP never responded to it.
This guy is such a fucking pussy-ass bitch. Holy shit. Why is his first solution when he meets any kind of resistance to brigade and report it? Now, interestingly, the idea that the EVE Online developers don't respond to reports is something that Loru just outright refutes.
Saying I reported it and my alliance reported it, we had hundreds of reports over months, and they never said anything. First of all, I just don't believe that, because after working with EVE Online devs myself, it might take like a month, maybe, to work with their GM team, but they'll get back to you. I just got done working with one, and it took them a little bit of time, I'm not gonna lie to you, but they got back to me when they were ready to get the ticket.
Regardless, it's time for PirateSoftware to share the grand climax of the Parchment saga, and I mean grand.
So with all of this going on, with the game mechanics being changed to be against us, with them not fixing any of the exploits, I called it. And I said, enough is enough, guys. We've been fighting every day for months. This is bullshit. The devs aren't listening to us. It's time to burn it down. And we did. We burned our own home to the ground. We actually linked up with all the other Triglavian alliances in the game that were smaller than us, and we destroyed everything that we owned in the entire region. And no one could ever have it again, because it wasn't replaceable. We burned it to the ground as a protest. And it worked. It worked really well. Everyone took notice, we left that area of space, and we went back out into high-sec space. And then new players moved into Pochvin, and they had to live out at NPC stations. You know what they did? They reported the same goddamn vulnerability that we did, the same exploit. And you know what CCP did? They said, I thought that was just a Strybog problem, which was our guild. And then they fixed it. I left the game. I'm never going to play EVE again. That kind of behavior is so above and beyond awful for the players, I can't get behind it. Like, I can fight another player. I can even fight another player's wallet, and we did many times in EVE. But I'm not going to fight the devs. That's bullshit. That's completely bullshit.
Look how fucking smug he looks, telling 2 bold-faced lies. Now, it is true that the 3 Triglavian alliances who were in charge of the Pochvin region ended up banding together to destroy all of their possessions within the region. However, it is not true that PirateSoftware was the guy calling the shots.
With them not fixing any of the exploits, I called it. And I said, enough is enough, guys.
No, he didn't. And you might say, Loru, sounds like they all kind of decided. I have first-hand knowledge that other people saw that this was going on. He started talking to him, and then he decided to do it with his Alliance Incorp. He decided nothing.
Now, what's the second lie, you may be wondering? Well, it brings us full circle to the beginning of the EVE Offline video with those chat messages asking how the EVE Online devs were against PirateSoftware. Because despite this statement,
they said, I thought that was just a Strybog problem.
The developers never specifically called out the Strybog-Clade Alliance. As established, there were 3 other Triglavian alliances within the Pochvin region, and they were probably all also reporting the issue. The issue only got more attention once more players got access to the region because of the removal of the reputation requirements. Obviously, if more players are able to access the region and report the bug, it's going to be a higher priority for the developers. Now, funnily enough, it seems that PirateSoftware's alliance, Strybog-Clade, doesn't particularly like Maldavius either. As this guy on Reddit points out, they still have a fuck off Maldavius emote in their Discord. Notably, the artist even came in to say it's their greatest artistic achievement. Now, how do I know it's the artist, you may be wondering? Well, because Maldavius name dropped them in his goodbye letter to the Strybog-Clade Alliance, as you can see here. That being said, I'm winning. This guy's ego is unstoppable. Oh look, he even mentions that one of his main goals is Ashes of Creation. Yeah, how'd that one work out for you, Maldavius? Considering PirateSoftware has an established pattern of lying in other games, and he's verifiably been dishonest in EVE Online with the Pochvin stuff, it does raise into question the validity of other stories such as this one.
In EVE, we had APIs, so I could see all of your in-game mails and things like that, and we had all of our spy people go and look through everybody's stuff, and we'd be like, why are you moving all this money to an offshore account? Who's that? What is that? We'd draw associations between characters and find spies and kick them out of the guild, and we'd always kick them out in really funny ways, like, you know, do a parade, and everybody like, oh, a parade of our strongest ships, and then we kick him out of the guild and shoot him right there in space in his best ship. Funny shit. Really funny shit.
Yeah, buddy, I'm sure you hacked into the fucking EVE Online API. This story also makes him seem like a fucking psycho. Why does he think it's cool to invade people's privacy and read their messages? Either way, I think it's about time that I talk about the most relevant game when it comes to PirateSoftware, that being Heartbound.
So no, I don't need to update the performance. I need to keep writing so I can finish my game. Thanks, though.
So yeah, as Jacksepticeye mentioned in the beginning, Heartbound is PirateSoftware's Earthbound Undertale ripoff. In 2016, it got accepted to Steam through Steam Greenlight, which is a way for the community to vote on early access and indie games they wanted to have a Steam store page. Yeah? I guess the potential earnings from Steam wasn't enough for PirateSoftware, so we also opened a Kickstarter for the game in 2017, which reached its goal of $5,000 US in the course of 2 days and has raised a total of $19,272 US with 684 backers. Note that the estimated delivery date for every tier on the Kickstarter project is December 17th, 2017. Or, you know, about 8 years ago. For the next 6 years, PirateSoftware would stream development, and by that I mean he would copy-paste some lines of code and then farm shorts for the rest of the stream with his crude MS Paint drawings, basic advice, and lies. If you look at the Heartbound website, you can see that PirateSoftware's stream is embedded in the website and is still being advertised as a developer stream, when it looks like he was last streaming. Alright, yeah, Dune Awakening. Yeah, so the development of the game was extraordinarily slow because PirateSoftware clearly had other priorities, such as growing his audience or having a second puberty. I'll explain later. Updates to the game actually entirely ceased after this update came out at the end of 2023. People thought the game was abandoned. In fact, Steam thought it was abandoned, as they marked the game as not having received an update for 14 months in March of this year. Don't worry though guys, Pirate Software came in to save the day and release an update to the game that same month, or more specifically a 2 megabyte update.
Been done in the game. This new monthly update process probably is going to fix that sort of like narrative on that, because it's not correct. Yeah, that'll fix a lot of stuff, I think. So we're just going to release a new update every month. And there is going to be a bunch of broken shit in the updates, because it's not a complete build. So you're not going back to game dev? Tell me you didn't listen to the last entire hour without telling me you didn't listen to the last entire hour.
Yeah, if it isn't obvious, Pirate Software released an update that did absolutely fuck all, or more specifically in this instance, he merged the 2 pre-existing beta versions and did literally nothing else in a successful attempt to shake the Steam mark of shame. This predictably led to the game being review bombed into oblivion. But maybe should have chosen a different word. I mean, it went from mixed reviews to overwhelmingly negative. Now, I'm completely out of my depth when it comes to code, so I'm not going to go into too much depth when it comes to Heartbound, but according to the most dedicated of Redditors, a guy called Code Jesus, and my entire YouTube recommended for the past 2 weeks, there are a substantial amount of issues with Heartbound's code. He apparently repeatedly makes beginner coding mistakes that makes the code near incomprehensible and impossible to build upon, which, hey, might explain why his updates are coming out so slowly. I should also mention that PirateSoftware has another game which is like a top-down shooter by the name of Champions of Breakfast. What's of note to us though is the DRM that PirateSoftware has embedded in Heartbound and the always online DRM that he has embedded in Champions of Breakfast. Always online digital rights management, or always online DRM, essentially means that when you are running the game, it is always connected to a server to make sure that you have a legitimate copy of the game. Digital rights management, or DRM, is the same thing, except it doesn't need to be always online and connected to a server in order to validate. In the instance of Heartbound, I believe it uses Steam DRM, which I think is in the Steam client. If you're unaware, DRM, especially always online, is completely fucking pointless to have in your single player game and is actually absurd for an indie game to have. Additionally, when considering the fact that DRMs are generally used to prevent piracy, it's also incomprehensibly ironic. Now, what's even funnier is when referring to Pirate Software's games, the DRM is not only reductive, but completely fucking pointless. Essentially, Pirate Software is using Steam achievements to validate whether or not they're using a legitimate copy of the game and to check whether or not the player has cheated in their progress. Or to put it more simply, he's using Steam achievements as an anti-cheat and DRM. I'm just thinking back to my high school mates who use like Steam achievement cheating software to fucking give themselves all the TF2 or CSGO achievements. So if Valve can't prevent that type of cheating on their own fucking platform, Steam, then how the fuck does Pirate Software expect to utilize the service effectively? As Condon Telephone, the Redditor who initially exposed a lot of this, also points out, manipulating Steam achievements client-side is not a difficult thing to do, and subsequently checking for them is not an effective anti-cheat or DRM.
If you look at this, we have 160 achievements for it, and all of them are very simple. The way that I did this is quite funny. I tried to find a way so that our game wouldn't get pirated, because it'd be easy to pirate it. We knew that you could break Steam DRM very quickly. This is your save file. When you first start the game up, it actually checks what achievements you have and it unlocks powers based on your achievements. This is actually the save file for the character, so you can't pirate it because you can never use the achievements. It made it unpiratable, which is deeply hilarious to me.
Unpiratable, huh? Explain this video of someone running Champions of Breakfast while logged out of Steam there. That's supposed to be the secure one as well, so I wonder how easy it is to ignore the Steam DRM with Heartbound. And what do you know, I got recommended a video of someone running a cracked copy of Heartbound using a Steam emulator. The funniest part is that the video is recorded like one of those 2012 era tutorials, and it's even got the music to match. So much for uncrackable. Either way, at the bottom of the Reddit post, Condon Telephone comically notes that he got banned from the Heartbound Steam page upon providing this feedback in a review that you can see here. This is the most awards I've ever seen anything on Steam get, although it's worth noting that Condon Telephone now deems this review partly inaccurate, which I will explain later. Condon Telephone goes into a lot more detail in this review than he did in the Reddit post, and actually addresses a couple of Pirate Software's claims directly. For example, much like the other Redditor, he points out how badly coded the game is and how easy Heartbound is to cheat with things like save files being saved in plain text. If Condon Telephone's reasoning interests you, I'll leave the review on screen because I'm not going to read through all of it. What I will mention though is the fact that Pirate Software left a developer note in which he outright denied having an always online DRM in Heartbound, and then proceeded to explain how Heartbound had DRM in a way that also painted him like a hero. This guy's a fucking joke. To be specific, Pirate Software states that the game checks to see if it is running from Steam offline or online mode, and additionally checks to see if it came from any of the piracy sites that he knows of, which to me, a layman, definitionally sounds like digital rights management. The main criticism though is based around the fact that Pirate Software is putting DRM in his single player indie games at all, and he's just hyper focusing around the fact that Heartbound isn't always online, but regardless. Nugget. According to Pirate Software, if the game detects that the player is running it from one of those aforementioned piracy sites, well then it directs them to contact Pirate Software on Twitter, where he will personally give them a tutorial on how to run a Windows Defender scan to check for malware, and then he'll give them a code to the game. Look, that might have happened once, but I do not think that giving tutorials and codes to people who pirated this game is something that Pirate Software does on a regular basis. If the obfuscation wasn't obvious enough as is, there is also this guy who explicitly asked in a Steam community post about whether or not Heartbound had a DRM, not always online DRM, and the first word in Pirate Software's response is no, which he then goes on to give an explanation that ends with him saying yes, it has Steam DRM. There's also this clip from a recent stream of his.
But no, just like the Heartbound thing, there's no always online DRM, there's none of that shit. The only thing it does is check to see if you're running it through Steam or not, and that's it. And you can run Steam in offline mode, and it works perfectly fine.
It's just such a goofy obfuscation because, as established, there is the questionable achievement-based always online DRM that's in his other game, Champions of Breakfast. And as I'll establish in the next part, Pirate Software has already made public statements against always online DRM. Personally, I get the impression that Pirate Software responded to Camden Telephone, so he started pedantically fixing minor details. But again, that's just my impression. Regardless of what's true, I'm like 99% certain that Camden Telephone was not banned for spreading misinformation. Camden Telephone was banned because he threw in some extra comments that made fun of Pirate Software, and he was butthurt about it, as you can see from this Twitter interaction. The dude is just fucking pathetic, okay? Another thing that Pirate Software has used to refute just general criticism of Heartbound is the idea that it can run on a smart fridge.
Yeah, it runs on a smart fridge? Yeah, who here has not seen the smart fridge video? We'll watch it again for the 50th time today. If you get Heartbound working on a smart fridge, I will send you a challenge card. Game again, on. Do the roar. Do the roar, Chin. Do the roar. It's becoming a meme? Should be. Did he get the coin? Yes. I believe he's the only person in the world that has two outside of me. Bro, this is cinema? Yes. There's that same lighting system. So no, I don't need to update the performance. I need to keep writing so I can finish my game. Thanks, though.
He leans in this so heavily to the extent that you can use a command !fridge that will link to the video in his chat. This, however, shows how incompetent Jason is because it's just not true, and it also shows how much of a liar he is because he still continues to push this narrative even after he was shown wrong. Even though, yes, Heartbound is playing out of the screen on that smart fridge, it's essentially just a monitor for the Raspberry Pi, visible here, that's connected to a laptop that's actually running the game using Steam.
So the reason you use switch case so often, it is the fastest solution in these situations. Because I am working with branching path narratives, and the branching paths are so distinct and different, using a switch case is really, really fast because it turns into a jump in the compiler, and that's it. Takes very little processing power. As a result, Heartbound runs on a watch. Yep. Yep.
Ah, now it runs on a fucking watch as well, does it? Jason, you're supposed to be the hacker game developer here, and even I know that streaming a game from another device and running it off of a device are two entirely different things. Bro, what is your issue? Can you stop that? You fucking goblin. Why? Are you trying to get a pin in your eye? What is wrong with you? Also, funny enough, the Heartbound Wikipedia page was taken down not only because it was seemingly created by Pirate Software and his team, but among other factors, Jason had contributed 20.7% of the edits, primarily to remove criticism of himself and the game. He responded to this on his own Heartbound Reddit, claiming that it was false, that it was primarily his staff and moderation team curating the content of the Heartbound Wiki page. However, goes on to state in the same post that it was the same same people doing it that are now officially curating his Heartbound wiki for him. So it does sound as if they were at minimum close community or biggest fans, you know, so that does sound like staff or moderation team in terms of bias. I don't even get why he lies about this shit that's so easily disprovable. Anyway, I have to let you in on a little secret. I'm actually a proud owner of Heartbound. Or was until I refunded it, that is. I bought the game to see whether it was any good and played for a bit under 2 hours, or more specifically 2 minutes under 2 hours, because I still wanted to be within the refund window. Upon seeing these anthropomorphic cougar and dare creatures that confirmed the game indeed was made by a furry, I promptly shut the game down and read through the Heartbound Steam reviews, only to find that I had essentially finished all the content in the game already. I was taking my time reading the dialogue too, but supposedly if I had kept playing for like 3 or so more minutes, I would have ran into a message that told me that the autumn area was still a work in progress, and if I had attempted to enter the ice area that looked like it had unlocked after I finished the first area, it would have just played a cutscene and then kicked me back out to the menu. So there is a 10-minute intro and 1.5 areas complete. I don't know what counts as a chapter, but there was supposed to be 5 of them, and they were supposed to be out by 2018. There is genuinely fuck all to do within the game, and what's even more insulting is the fact that the decisions, which, you know, were a major selling point for the game, are practically meaningless. I mean, all they change is a couple lines of dialogue. I mean, PirateSoftware has marketed Heartbound on the idea that it's got all these branching paths and endings, which he has also cited as the reason why development is so slow.
When the primary bottleneck isn't code, it's actually writing.
But then the only example I can think of as the most impactful decision was right at the beginning of the game, and it was to feed my dog garbage instead of canned meat. The dog called me an asshole, and then the story continued like normal, with the dog occasionally remarking about how I'd been a dick. The only time this gets brought back up is in the middle of a boss fight at the end of the first area, in which you have to accurately recount the decisions you had made in the game up until that point. As another note, I intentionally lost this boss fight, and again, nothing happened and the story progressed like normal. Speaking of fights, other than the aforementioned boss fights, the only 2 other fights in the game really made the game's origins as an Undertale ripoff apparent. The puzzles, if you can even call them that, were remarkably easy. There was about 5 of them from memory, and they all handheld you through to the solution. There was genuinely no way you could fuck them up. Truly a PirateSoftware-proofed game. The first and only puzzle in the entire game to give me any difficulty was the keypad puzzle at the beginning of the first area, and that was just because it was genuinely nonsensical. In my playthrough, I did figure out that the first 3 digits of the code were 891. However, it was taking way too long to figure out the last digit, considering the 2-hour time limit I had, and so I put in the alternate solution, which was to enter the number 1 7 times. Upon looking at a guide after I stopped playing, I found the first 3 digits were indeed 8, 9, and 1. However, someone is going to have to explain to me how this note communicates to you that the last digit is 3. In the same area at the tower, which is also notably the only completed area in the game, this guy tasked you with getting him some glasses, which upon doing so, show you how fucking dated the game is already, as they appear as deal with it glasses. You know that meme from the early 2000s or like 2010s? That's another thing. The writing was extraordinarily bland and included a bunch of ham-fisted, haha, look at me, I'm so random XD moments. Like, one of the objectives was to collect 5 ducks for a dude in the server. Also, questionably, the main collectible throughout the game were these socks that went into gratuitous detail about how they were like sweaty or slimy or stinky. It's just, bro, what? Does this guy have a foot fetish as well or something? The one thing I actually liked about this game, that being some of the music from the soundtrack, was unsurprisingly one of the parts of the game that PirateSoftware did not touch, having been done entirely by another individual by the name of Stygian. Dun, that's this fucking dono sound, bro. I hate that sound so much. So yeah, do not buy this fucking game. It is a scam. Oh, also, as a final note, there is this dark cave segment in which you slow down every now and then when a voice talks to you, and I gotta ask, did PirateSoftware not play Halo 3? This shit sucked when the Gravemind did it in Cortana, and it's not like PirateSoftware is gonna change that with Heartbound. Either way, bringing it back to Conan Telephone's review for a moment, he makes a couple points at the end talking about how easy it would be for PirateSoftware to make his games align with something called Stop Killing Games. Which brings me to the most recent drama that PirateSoftware was the centerpiece of.
I've been called a pedophile, zoophile, rapist, corporate plant, degenerate, narcissist, nepo baby, and many other names. And they attacked all the accomplishments over my life, despite physical evidence to prove to the contrary. And they also went after every job I ever held, trying to say that I never worked them, or if I did work them, that I never deserved them. So I'm going to be honest with you. I hope that your initiative gets everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted. And I'll leave it there.
It's pretty likely you already have an idea of what I'm talking about, considering the Stop Killing Games situation got so large that it even caught the attention of the slot gods, that being Charlie Moist Critical, Pyrocynical, Mudaha, who you should watch my video about, and Ludwig. So what is Stop Killing Games, and why is PirateSoftware so relevant to it? Well, Stop Killing Games is a movement led by Ross, aka Cursed Farms on YouTube, that is pushing for governments, particularly in Europe, to put legislation in place that prevents game publishers from giving their customers no end-of-life plan, reimbursement, or notice when they, well, kill their games by discontinuing support. There is an increasing number of games publishers such as Ubisoft or EA that are putting hostile licensing agreements in their video games that create a planned obsolescence and also prevent the games from being preserved in the future, which is what Stop Killing Games wants to prevent. Another method of instilling this planned obsolescence that Stop Killing Games notably doesn't even directly address is DRMs, or always online DRMs. Beginning to see why PirateSoftware might have an issue with Stop Killing Games? Yeah, well, alongside hours of stream content, PirateSoftware released a video titled Stop Killing Games that received 1.2 million views, pushing a bunch of misinformation, such as the false idea that the Stop Killing Games petition would force developers to make their multiplayer games into single-player games or continue to support them forever. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? In fact, whenever PirateSoftware talks about Stop Killing Games, he attempts to make clear that it would be an extraordinarily anti-developer movement that would give indie developers in particular an insurmountable mountain to climb before they could release video games. This, however, is completely false. Stop Killing Games is only pushing for developers to provide an end-of-life plan, whatever that may be, for their games and subsequently paying customers. This could be as simple as providing something for the community to run their own servers with, or informing the customer when the service will no longer be provided before they spent the money, or something else entirely. It's meant to be negotiable. Also, bear in mind that this would only come into effect years after any legislation to do with the petition is passed, and would not retroactively affect any pre-existing video games. This in no way means that developers have to make their multiplayer game into a single-player game, or continue to support it forever. Yet, PirateSoftware was more than happy to peddle blatant misinformation about this honestly innocent pro-consumer movement. Ross recently made a video that spent 30 or so minutes responding to and dismantling the various false criticisms made by PirateSoftware in his various streams and videos about Stop Killing Games, which is what caught the broader attention of the internet.
It needs to be specific about the business practice it's trying to defeat, which is specifically companies that are doing this under the guise of it being a single-player game, but adding online-only functionality that is not necessary and doesn't add any gameplay elements. That's the problem.
No, that's not it at all.
And there are some people that'll say, well, just make it all single player.
Like
well,
you?
I've explained that doesn't make any sense in the first place. If you're making it all single player, you'd have to carve off all of that, and it's developer time and money. These are two different ideologies, and that's okay to have two different ideologies. I just won't agree with it.
But those aren't the ideologies. Nothing in the initiative is asking to convert games to single player.
Nowhere in there does it say that it's directly targeting always online single player games.
Yeah, so why does he keep bringing it up? This is a total red herring.
I think I can answer that one for you, Ross. So not only is PirateSoftware wrong here, but if always online DRMs and single player games are the issue, then why the fuck did he put one in Champions of Breakfast? PirateSoftware was unreasonably hostile towards Ross and Stop Killing Games, which mostly went unquestioned, assumedly due to how PirateSoftware postured himself as a knowledgeable game dev.
My name is Jason Thor Hall, also known as PirateSoftware Online. I've been in the gaming industry for about 20 years. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment, then Amazon Game Studios, and now I own my own studio, PirateSoftware, by the same name, which is an indie studio, and I've been here for about 8 years now. I also run a massive community. We've got about 180,000 people in Discord, and most of what I do is try to teach other people how to make games, teach them that they can make games, show them the tools to do so, and try to do everything without any paywalls or bullshit in the way. It's incredibly important to me that we keep making games and that the next generation has the tools to do so that our medium doesn't die out. And it never will. And that's the whole intention of all of this. So with that in mind, that community brought me this and tried to get me to sign it. And I don't want to. Number one, I can't because I don't live in Europe. But number two, I wouldn't sign it even if I could. And I'm going to kind of go through this and try to explain the reasoning as to why that would be the case, without all of the internet hate machine that's grown up around it.
Yeah, as Ross demonstrated, Jason blatantly mischaracterized the petition in what Ross believes to be a misunderstanding and what I believe to be a malicious lie.
If you try to tell me that every studio needs to run their live service game indefinitely or not want to run one at all, then no one's going to run them.
Oh no! He wheeled out that line about publishers having to support the game forever. He was literally watching the video earlier where it says it won't do that in big letters. That wasn't enough. We just can't stop gamers from going there, even when we spell it out. I admit, guys, this part hurts. To see the biggest voice on this issue get it wrong again and again and again, then put that same wrong information on blast to a far bigger audience than we can reach. It hurts.
Before addressing that though, I do want to note that I'm skipping over a lot and simplifying the Stop Killing Games issue quite a bit. It's luckily sprung back and received well over 1 million signatures since Ross responded to PirateSoftware's criticisms. However, if you want a more in-depth explanation of the petition, then feel free to watch Ross's videos about it. I do just want to preface them with the fact that Ross is far too charitable to PirateSoftware. That's also despite the fact that Ross well and truly acknowledges that PirateSoftware is and has been by far the largest attractor for Stop Killing Games.
Okay, I really don't want to do this next part, but it's become a liability for the campaign for me not to. Our biggest critic by far is YouTuber and streamer PirateSoftware, who goes by Thor. If your only exposure to Stop Killing Games has been this video, then you've been misinformed. This video is by someone who does not understand the campaign, has been trying to stop it, and has been making up what it is about. I am not saying that lightly. I will prove it in a minute. Now you might be thinking, okay, so some YouTuber got something wrong on the internet. So what? See, that was my thinking too. The problem is how incredibly influential this YouTuber has been. Remember that list of coverage on the campaign? Well, best I can tell, Thor's coverage has been bigger than literally anyone else on those lists, except Asmongold. And the only video Asmongold had on this bigger than Thor's was about Thor's video. So for all practical purposes, Thor here has been the #1 voice on the campaign, and he's been lying about what it is.
Regardless, Ross goes on to spend the rest of the duration of the hour-long video dismantling pretty much every claim that PirateSoftware made about Stop Killing Games, and additionally establishes that he actually reached out to PirateSoftware to have a conversation about his qualms. The issue is, PirateSoftware turned this down because Ross was, according to Maldavius, disingenuous. It's actually sickening to see this disingenuous freak projecting his own flaws on a Ross. Anyway, while I initially believed that PirateSoftware was spinning a malicious lie about Stop Killing Games because he himself has put DRM in his own games and is too lazy to provide an end-of-life plan, after looking into it a bit more, I think he is well aware that the petition would not affect his games, and as a result, I believe there may be a more ego-driven reason for his malicious lies. Following Ross's video, the YouTuber Harmful Opinions, who I cited a lot throughout my Nuxtaku and Mudaheart research, released a video titled I Hate PirateSoftware, which pointed out the fact that PirateSoftware was concerned trolling and intentionally lying about the Stop Killing Games petition. This is shown by the fact that PirateSoftware had provided a relatively accurate description of the petition months before he made his first video, Stop Killing Games, in which he inaccurately described the petition in order to discredit it.
Hey Thor, I'd love to get your opinion on something.
Sure.
A YouTuber is starting a global effort to get game companies to stop killing games.
Yes.
It's an action against live service games shutting down and leaving customer with no access to anything.
Sure.
He has some good ideas and points, and as someone from the industry, he'd love to hear your thoughts and help raise awareness. Check out Accursed Farms on YouTube or his website Stop Killing Games.
So I'd be really interested in looking into this. The thing that I'm worried about at the outset is wanting to put any type of legal framework together to force studios to have a contingency plan for games that are live service games.
What's even more shocking is the fact that he claims to have not even looked at the petition yet. How the fuck did he draw the conclusions that he did in his Stop Killing Games video by looking at the webpage, where it explicitly states otherwise? Either way, he goes on to give his reasoning behind why it is conceptually off-putting to him.
This is the concern that I have. So I want to go research it first, because everyone's been talking about this. Because I don't want, and this is the real one, I don't want the government telling indies that they have to have their live service game stay online forever. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. But when you're talking about a legal setting to force people to do this, you're generally moving in that direction. So I want to know more before we talk about this. So I'm going to look at it. I'm going to read a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to see every little piece that they're talking about. Because a legal force situation to do this starts to bother me. Starts to get a little spooky. Right? They can create a standalone version of every game. You could, but see that right there? They can make a standalone version of every game. Live service indie game like what? Have you never heard of Realm of the Mad God? There's an example right there. There are many live service indie games that exist.
Okay, so he doesn't want government involvement in video games because of the damage it could do to game developers, particularly indie ones. As Harmful Opinions found, this is something that he reiterated on one of his not deleted live streams.
People are idiots and they don't realize it yet? That's scary? Yes, this is a bad direction. That's a terrible direction. Asmongold had a take about allowing private servers if the original live service game ends. Allowing private servers? Do you want that to be a government-mandated thing? I think it's cool if the company wants to do that, but they shouldn't be under legal government requirement to do so. The moment you have the government step in and try to regulate this shit, it's going to be awful. If you think the government can manage anything, you haven't been around long enough. Legitimately. That is a terrifying prospect. Letting the government get into video games is a terrible goddamn idea. Awful idea. You need to get through a couple more presidents before you realize that shit. That is an awful direction. Keep the government out of games. No thank you. No thank you, dude.
I mean, despite the fact that the government already most definitely is involved in video games with legal systems such as copyright protection, etc., this hypothetical forcing developers to slave away for eternity keeping their games alive is, as established, something that the Stop Killing Games website addresses directly, because Ross knows how unreasonable of a request this would be. All that's asked is developers provide something that runs as an end-of-life plan, and Pirate Software even demonstrates that he understands this in the clip.
No. I can't get behind that at all, dude. Private dedicated servers? Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter about private dedicated servers. It matters about the government going in and forcing you, as a developer, to go and do the building to be able to allow for those private servers. And it's even worse. It refund the players then? No, that's a live service game. You played a video game that you paid for at the time that video game was out. You don't get a refund when that game eventually shuts down. That's not how that works. Live service games are based on the multiplayer interactions that you have at the time that the game is live. This game doesn't exist as a single player game. It will never exist as a single player game. That's a terrible service. Then stop playing live service games and leave our live service games alone. Legitimately. If you don't like the model of live service video game, if you want to play World of Warcraft as a single player game, you should be playing other games. Hands down. That is not what that shit is about. Not even a little bit, dude. You're trying to morph live service games into something that works for you that has an idiotic take. Combat it then. Give me some kind of an argument that actually attacks the argument that I've made instead of attacking my person, because you can't. Crazy shit. No. If you want to petition a studio to then have that game released as a live service game with private servers on the outside, you go right ahead. You get the government involved, I am not on your side. I am not on your side even a little bit. Government can stay the hell out of games. Yeah, I told you before, I'm not a fan of the government. There's a reason for that shit. Keep them out of games. Stay out of games. No, they can't manage shit. They've never been able to manage shit. I don't want them in games. You don't want them in games. You just want to have the same experience that you had in your multiplayer game again. And if you want to have private servers, ask the company to release it for private servers. I will never be a fan of the government touching shit. They are awful at it.
You don't need to keep running servers for it. The community can and has handled that in the past with other games such as Star Wars Galaxies, for example. That's missing the big point though, because what he's saying here about the government getting involved in any capacity being what he actually disagrees with, well then that means he has a fundamental issue with Stop Killing Games at its core, and all of his other criticisms were just fucking disingenuous lies. Why the fuck is he opening his video stating, "It started the wrong conversation," when this motherfucker doesn't want a conversation, full stop?
The reason why I have a problem with Stop Killing Games is specifically it starts the wrong conversation.
To be honest with you though, I do not believe that Pirate Software actually cares whether the government gets involved in gaming. He was just saying whatever he believed to be the most effective argument to kill Stop Killing Games before it got its feet on the ground. Here is a shot from Pirate Software in which he expressly states that he approved of when the Chinese government got involved in their games industry.
China has actually just announced something really wild. Online games will now be banned from giving players rewards if they log in every day. If they spend on the game the first time, like the top-up bonuses, gone. If they spend several times on the game consecutively, so chain money, they're like, oh, you bought like 5 items, you can get 50% off the next item. That's gone. In addition, games will be stopped from luck-based draw mechanics, like loot boxes to minors. No more gacha for kids. That's good. It is crazy and crazy to see this. So these are all banned now in China. Panic among investors, wiping nearly $80 billion in market value off of China's 2 biggest gaming companies. The moment that they did this, $80 billion wiped off the map, dude. Now, here's the thing that's really interesting. People will be like, oh, that's just going to be in China. They're going to use them everywhere else. I don't know about that. Remember when the EU implemented all of its online laws and then every website does this? I think the rest of the market's going to follow suit. This is a rare China W for me. These are some of the most predatory dog shit business things I've ever seen in games. And it feels weird, but I agree with you, China. Please get rid of this shit.
Oh, and planned obsolescence isn't one of the most dog shit and predatory business practices in video games? This disingenuous hack will literally say anything and everything that he believes will convince people to his side, regardless of how much he actually believes it. He acts like the express goal of Stop Killing Games is to make game developers into eternal slaves that have to provide support to their games for the rest of their lives. Meanwhile, the actual goal of Stop Killing Games, that being getting developers to provide an end-of-life plan, is just a fortunate accidental consequence of an overall bad petition that starts the wrong conversation.
It starts the wrong conversation. If we're trying to kill off the practice of developers putting together a live service game, pitching it as a single-player experience and then taking away support in the future, this ain't it.
So yeah, I hope it's clear. This is just a straight up malicious lie. Jason knows exactly what conversation the Stop Killing Games petition is attempting to start, and yet he's deliberately misrepresenting it while back with his flimsy game development credentials to make the petition seem as insane and nonsensical as possible. Another aspect is that PirateSoftware has been so openly disgusting and vitriolic towards the movement that even he himself can acknowledge it apparently. There's a substantial amount of VODs, and if I understand Ross correctly, 2 videos that are missing from June and August of 2024 in which PirateSoftware talked about the Stop Killing Games and hurled a bunch of personal insults at Ross for genuinely no decipherable reason. My genuine best guess for why he did this is because it was a game development based movement that was getting a lot of attention and popularity, and Jason wasn't the guy to think of it. So instead, he needed to be the guy that told you why it was a terrible idea. Regardless, as shown by this Reddit thread post on August 8th, 2024, PirateSoftware clearly knew how bad the personal attacks on Ross looked, because when the Redditor NoobSplooge101 questioned PirateSoftware on how he could call Ross's approach gross when he himself is calling Ross a greasy used car salesman, PirateSoftware said this in response. He essentially just claims that he never used the term greasy used car salesman, only the term used car salesman, and then goes on to give this long-winded cope explanation for how Ross is being dishonest or something. NoobSplooge101, however, turned it straight back on PirateSoftware and responded with a now deleted clip in which PirateSoftware called Ross a greasy used car salesman. Although this clip is now deleted, I found another example.
Like, it's gross, dude. It's greasy as shit, and because of that, I don't want to talk to him. I'd be willing to talk to, like, Louis Rossman or anybody else about this because they'll actually have a conversation, but that shit shows me, like, the greasy used car salesman thing, where they're not actually trying to sell you a good product, they're just trying to sell you a product, and I hate people like that. I hate it, dude.
He was genuinely so vitriolic, dishonest, and vile towards Ross and Stop Killing Games throughout his live streams. However, the large majority of them have mysteriously been taken down now, with all that remains of PirateSoftware's coverage being his extraordinarily high view and thought out videos Stop Killing Games and Stop Killing Games 2. There is still evidence of these live streams having existed though, with clips such as these within Ross's video.
Oh shit, now this is actually really dumb. It's used car salesman garbage. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm gonna actively tell people not to. That is awful. That is a horrible goddamn direction. That's awful, dude. No, eat my entire ass. The level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. This shit sucks. That's a really stupid ass move. That's an incredibly stupid ass move. I think this is ass. This is complete garbage. All of this can eat shit then. I drop the mask entirely. I have no qualms about that. They can eat my entire ass. The whole thing. That sounds stupid as shit.
Well, Harmful Opinions actually found a segment from one of PirateSoftware's live streams on August 17th, 2024, in which PirateSoftware openly admitted that he had taken down his VODs, subsequently deleting the evidence because he claimed that people were intentionally trying to bait him into talking about Stop Killing Games for the signatures.
And like, on top of it, I went through the Reddit for their initiative for that, and there were a number of posts in there that were people saying we should keep baiting him and attacking him because if we do that, he'll keep talking about it and then more people will sign the initiative. They were planning that shit. And those threads are still there. They're still up. People are still talking about that shit on there. So instead of that, I just deleted all the VODs where we were talking about it. I kept my videos up and I walked away. They can eat shit.
Which brings me to this fucking atrocious post. Genuinely, it makes my blood boil and gives me a headache looking at it. I can't even fit it on one screenshot, else it'd be illegible. It was posted on June 26th, and within PirateSoftware obfuscates as per usual by stating, let's dig into what I actually said. You know, disregarding the fact that he's deleted over 90% of his coverage of Stop Killing Games, and then directs to his 2 edited videos in which he, as level-headedly as this wretch could manage, dismantled the Stop Killing Games petition. Towards the end of the tweet, PirateSoftware states, I never took my videos down, which Ross came in to refute, pointing that a substantial amount of livestream VODs are missing, and if I'm understanding Ross correctly, 2 whole videos. PirateSoftware responds by yet again obfuscating, talking about how Twitch auto-deletes VODs in 30 days, which is completely fucking irrelevant when you're talking about YouTube VODs. Ross then yet again clarifies that he is talking about content missing from PirateSoftware's YouTube channel, to which PirateSoftware responds, talking about how YouTube struggles to save VODs that are over 12 hours, which, do I even need to say it at this point? is another blatant obfuscation. If you want more details on all the stuff, as mentioned, you can go to Ross's channel, Accursed Farms, for information about Stop Killing Games. And I do recommend Harmful Opinions coverage of PirateSoftware's lies about Stop Killing Games, because he goes into a lot more detail than I did. All I really intended to do for this segment is lay out the overarching lie. To me, it seems as if PirateSoftware doesn't like Stop Killing Games for some reason. Whether it's because he's too lazy to provide an end-of-life plan for his own games, government involvement in games, his ego like I think, or something else entirely, it doesn't really matter. What's of note is the fact that PirateSoftware is willing to say anything and everything that he believes will further its destruction. There isn't a single word that comes out of PirateSoftware's mouth that is principled. He's shown himself to say whatever's most convenient for achieving his desired outcome at any given time. This is what creates the never-ending contradictions. However, PirateSoftware is also incapable of acknowledging when he's made a mistake or fucked up in some way, so he continues to dig his own grave and attempts to cover his own tracks by deleting VODs and evidence of those contradictions. If you thought PirateSoftware couldn't get any worse, well, I'm sorry to say, but there is still 2 chapters of this video, with the next one being centered around how PirateSoftware attempts to silence people who criticize him.
Forwarded. Welcome to the finding out timeline, bud.
Would it be a shock to anyone if I told you that PirateSoftware is not a stranger when it comes to making false reports or abusing copyright with DMCA claims? The first potential example of this I have brings us all the way back to Diremaul. Remember how PirateSoftware was talking about how he's going to report streamers who were leading a hate raid against him? Well, there's one streamer in particular that I personally believe PirateSoftware was referring to, and that would be a streamer by the name of Joker. Why, you may be wondering? Well, I think this clip in which Joker talks about PirateSoftware directly after the Diremaul incident may have something to do with it.
I honestly fuck PirateSoftware. Like, straight up, bro, this dude is a complete fraud. At least in the WoW space, I don't care if he worked for fucking Blizzard. The guy probably made fucking coffee for some devs. I don't even believe for a second he coded anything in this game. I don't dude. Nothing at all. All right, bro. Guy probably fucking was interning there for a week. I'm not gonna believe a word that comes out of his mouth. I don't give a fuck. Nothing at all matters that comes out of your mouth from this point onwards to me because of how you acted yesterday. And that's the bottom line, alright? Maybe some fucking 90 IQ retard over on fucking YouTube Shorts will believe it. But over here, buddy, we got a fucking brain, alright? You ain't gonna farm shit from me or probably most people in my fucking chat. Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, let's move on for real.
I just started on this character. Okay. Then
I think Joker's statements about him being a coffee delivering intern would be PirateSoftware's main motivation, because as I will establish in the next part, the Nepo baby shit gets him fucking beyond butthurt. Either way, the following day, Joker left a response to one of PirateSoftware's various rambles on Twitter, stating, "Just take the L, it's not that hard." To which PirateSoftware ominously responded, "Hope this was worth it for you." 17 days later, this happens on Joker's stream.
I appreciate it, guys. Alright, let's watch the wait, hold on. Let me click review content to see what got struck down. It's the pirate video. Yeah. Harassment and cyberbullying policy. F. Well, there you go. I don't think I've ever had that happen.
So yeah, there isn't any direct evidence that PirateSoftware made this particular report. It very well could have been one of his fans or something, but just considering the fact that PirateSoftware was openly talking about reporting streamers who were leading a hate raid against him, it does not paint a favorable image. This image only gets worse for him when we take a look at some of the other examples, like the one laid out by the YouTuber The Other Frost. An indie game developer by the name of Brandon Ferrantino, also known as Private Parts, was working on a game called Idle Streaming Bonanza around the time that the Diremaul incident was popping off. So he wanted to include some references to PirateSoftware and subsequently added some audio of Jason during the Diremaul incident to his game and posted a clip of it to LSF.
As much as you're angry right now, of course I ran. Evocation's on cooldown, man.
This, however, caught the attention of PirateSoftware, so he filed a DMCA takedown notice for the idle streaming Bonanza Steam page. The thing is, the audio clip of PirateSoftware was not in the Steam version of the game. It was only within Private Part's personal build of the game. So this is a completely false takedown notice, no matter how you put it. Private Part subsequently filed a counterclaim and opened a ticket within PirateSoftware's Discord server, in which he spoke to PirateSoftware's room temperature IQ mods, one of which named Kronos. PirateSoftware received this complaint while he was streaming and went on to state this.
Hey Kronos, we have to file a legal complaint against that dude earlier. I'm gonna pause this for a moment. There was a dude earlier today that went onto Reddit and said that he was using my voice in a video game, showed a bunch of videos of it, and then put that game up on Steam. A lot of people in the thread told him not to do that, that would end up being a legal problem for him. He did it anyway. So I filed a DMCA claim, and he has now filed a counterclaim against me. We're going to take you to court. You're going to lose. You cannot use somebody's likeness or voice in any way inside of your games without their permission. It's a really stupid thing to do, incredibly so. So I'm going to send this over to Kronos now, because he is a lawyer in copyright law. That is his job. Mistake. Kronos, we have 14 days to respond to this. Forwarded. Welcome to the Finding Out timeline, bud.
Oh, Kronos is a lawyer, is he? Well, according to Kronos himself in a conversation with Private Parts, that is most definitely not the case.
Alright, so here's the ones between me and my lawyer and Kronos. I am attempting to reach the attorney working under the handle Kronos. I sent him DMs some hours ago and I believe he hasn't seen them. This concerns an actual legal matter and I need to bring the messages to his attention. Hello, not an attorney, just to be clear. He said, oh, very well. I thought Mr. Hall represented a fellow named Kronos as an actual copyright attorney. Do you know whether Mr. Hall has counseled concerning the DMCA takedown? I imagine you were the same individual in the ticket yesterday. Fucking crazy.
Now, I'm no lawyer, but I'm fairly certain that pretending to be one while slinging around legal threats is illegal. Do you know what isn't illegal though? Making a fair use parody of someone, which is most definitely how I would describe Private Part's implementation of PirateSoftware into his personal build of the game. Yeah, good luck suing Private Parts, Jason. I'm sure that'll go down real fucking well for you.
Welcome to the Finding Out timeline, bud.
Unfortunately for Jason, a real lawyer who keeps his eye on internet stuff by the name of Mario Serame caught wind of this case and it pissed him the fuck off. So he took Private Parts on as a client free of charge and made a formal demand to PirateSoftware to rescind the takedown notice. I'm fairly certain this worked and PirateSoftware has dropped this legal endeavor because idle streaming Bonanza is back up on Steam and I haven't heard about any new court cases involving old Maldavius. That doesn't mean I haven't heard of more examples of Jason abusing report buttons though. A YouTuber by the name of Card Posting released a video on the 1st of July titled You Should Hate PirateSoftware, which is currently sat at 12,000 views. Within the video, Card Posting basically just outlines how PirateSoftware had been a jackass in regards to the Stop Killing Games stuff. Apparently, one of the people who happened across Card Posting's video when it had around 9,000 views was PirateSoftware, because according to Card Posting, he had attempted to report the video to YouTube for violating the terms of service in regards to harassment, which, yeah, that does sound like his MO. And apparently he also encouraged his audience to go comment underneath the video.
On YouTube, falsely, maliciously, knowingly misusing reporting tools to get other people's content taken down is meant to be a very big no-no. It's something that, if you do repeatedly, is supposed to very well mean you yourself will be removed from the platform permanently. And I believe Jason Thor Hall has a long history of doing exactly this, and has surely crossed any reasonable threshold of how much doing that should get someone removed from YouTube for the sake of other users.
Card Posting at this point was still yet to provide receipts, as he was hoping that PirateSoftware would notice his video and then they could sort things out amicably, which, yeah, of course that didn't happen. So Card made a follow-up a week later on July 12th, 2025, in which he claimed several small YouTubers with channel sizes in the hundreds of subscribers had reached out to him with similar stories of being falsely reported on the basis of a terms of service violation. Card additionally stated that some of them had claimed to have been DMCA claimed by PirateSoftware if they had included some of his content within their video. Again, however, Card Posting included no evidence for this, stating that he was working on a website that would compile all of the claims and evidence into one place. Now, as much as this does sound exactly like Jason's MO, I could not in good faith include Card Posting's story without evidence. So I reached out to Card Posting and requested that he gave me a screenshot of the email from Google saying that one of his videos was reported or taken down, and he did indeed provide. lied. Within the email, you can see that Card Posting's video, Pirate Software and Postal 2, hashtag shorts, hashtag Pirate Software, hashtag Stop Killing Games, was taken down for breaking YouTube's harassment policy. Card Posting additionally linked to the video in question, and it indeed does not work due to a violation of YouTube's terms of service. Again, this is not necessarily solid evidence of Pirate Software going out and reporting small creators' channels, but it definitely does not look good circumstantially. Either way, if what Card Posting is claiming is true, Pirate Software obviously name searches himself and watches for criticism like a hawk. I wonder if he can make it through this video for long enough to reach this point. If so, hi Jason, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I will be fighting back if you try falsely claiming or striking my video. Oh shit, scratch that. As I was finishing up this video, Card Posting emailed me a link to the website which did deliver the evidence Card Posting claimed he had. Some of the examples he cited I have already covered within this video, such as Joe-Curd private parts or Card Posting himself, but there were several examples that I was not aware of or just forgot to mention until now. For starters, there's VIII, Twitter's self-proclaimed streamer TMZ, who had several Pirate Software clips struck down on the basis of copyright infringement. Pirate Software denied this and claimed it was someone else impersonating him. However, he didn't present any evidence for this, so up to you whether you believe him, I guess. The aforementioned Code Jesus, who made several videos about Jason's inability to code, also released this short claiming that his videos on various platforms were mass reported on the basis of harassment.
Pirate Software fans have reached a new low. They've started brigading my channel and mass reporting videos on multiple platforms. Since neither Jason nor his fans have actual arguments against my videos, they resort to smears, ad hominems, and shady tactics in order to get the videos removed. This video in particular, debunking Jason's ray tracing solution for his 2D game, was flagged as selling illicit goods.
Quinn69 also insinuated this videos had been mass reported by Jason's community when he read these messages out from who I believe to be his channel manager or editor.
I got replies from Gary, and there's 8 replies even. It's not just 1 reply. I suspect some weird stuff happened with those videos because one of them is age restricted, which is really weird, and another one is ad limited. I think they got mass flagged reported. Really weird that it got age restricted. My suspicion is that mass report and YouTube auto restricts it. I tried to submit a manual review on the same day, but it got rejected. No DMCA though, so I don't think it's Pirate necessarily. It's probably just community or something. Your takes were always very grounded though, like you never personally attacked him. On the contrary, you would defend him when he was getting personally attacked by Joker, for example. So I don't think he has a case for DMCA on bullying, etc. True.
Finally, as Card Posting mentioned, there were several tiny YouTubers who had their Pirate Software content struck down. This would be TN, The Scooge, and Ted's Cabin, whose channels and respective evidence is all on screen now. The Scooge and Ted's Cabin just posted some random clips from my understanding, but interestingly, TN had posted evidence that Pirate Software had attempted to cover up his past as Maldavius Figtree. There is still an archive of TN's video linked on Card Posting's website, so I can show you the evidence. As you can see here, this is what Maldavius Figtree's Wikifur page looks like nowadays, and this is what it used to look like. There is also evidence that it was Jason himself, as the removal request is also preserved, and within the admins asked him for evidence that he is Maldavius Figtree, which he provided. Oh yeah, and I don't have exact examples for the aforementioned reported videos I've just gone over, but I have seen screenshots of DMs in which Jason was calling for his Discord server to report videos that he disagreed with. Additionally, this all gets funnier when you consider the fact that in almost all of these dramas, Jason continuously claimed that he was unaffected due to the fact that he was an internet OG who could take anything and wasn't even bothered by doxing, for example.
How do you respond to the 12 doxes last month? I just delete them. I don't care. I don't even respond to that shit, to be honest with you. I've known where I live longer than you. I don't care. It's like, okay, woo, you know, like it's not that spooky for me. I grew up on 4chan when I was a kid, dude. I grew up on 4chan and Something Awful forums and YTMD and all the shit like that. I grew up on the old internet, the internet that was stronger than you. Like, this is irrelevant to me, frankly. It's not gonna scare me, it's not gonna bother me, it's not spooky, right? It's just like, okay, you did the thing, blah, you know, like, great, you know.
Yeah, that's why you keep talking about it and dig your hole deeper. Just one more live stream, one more video, one more tweet in which Jason arrogantly states that he is correct and anyone who disagrees with him is wrong and an idiot. I'm sure they'll all be convinced. You're so close, Jason. Just one more post. Anyway, it's about time that we rip into Pirate Software's identity at its core, because he seemingly lied about that as well.
Shit.
It was a shiny. I thought he would live. There
are so many fucking lies that Pirate Software has peddled that I had to make this segment covering all the miscellaneous claims that didn't fit anywhere else. So why not start the segment off strong by talking about Pirate Software's second puberty? No, you did not mishear me. Here is a clip of PirateSoftware explaining it.
And second puberty, that happened too. My voice actually used to be super high pitched. It dropped when I hit about 33. I went to the doctor because I was concerned about it. They did a bunch of tests. It was horrifying, by the way.
So personally, I was aware of the fact that PirateSoftware was lying about his voice. However, I had absolutely no idea that his explanation for it was a second puberty at 33. So you can thank the Cadros for pointing that out to me. For reference, here's an old interview with PirateSoftware so you can hear what he actually sounds like.
I'm here with Thor, founder of PirateSoftware. How's your show been so far?
It's actually been amazing. It's our first time out here at Denver Comic-Con, and there's so many people, and they love the games, so it's been awesome.
So speaking of games, what do you have for us today?
So we have Champions of Breakfast, which is a twin-stick shooter that we made in 24 days from concept to release on Steam. Blew up. It was really, really awesome. And that game is pretty difficult, so if you're into really hard arcade games, that's the kind of thing for you. And the other one is Heartbound, which is a more story-driven RPG. And we've been working on that for about 6 months. We put it up on Steam Greenlight. It got rank 1, so it was massive success. And then we put it up on Kickstarter, and it got funded in 24 hours, and then ended up with 400% funding. So people really, really like the game. And we have an hour-long demo here and on our website, so people can download it anytime.
And what is your website?
It's gopiratesoftware.com, and you can get it there or on Steam. So if you just look up Heartbound on Steam, you can pick it up.
Great, thank you so much. For Video Game News Source, I'm HB Duran. Keep on playing.
PirateSoftware's explanation for the second puberty frequently shifts about the place. I mean, for example, you have one clip where he's talking about how he had to be hooked up to a tube that went into his esophagus for 24 hours to measure how much stomach acid was coming out.
And second puberty, that happened too. They had to do something called a manumetry test at one point where they put this thing down your nose into your esophagus and then they make you swallow. And then they had to do another one for another thing where they put it down there and it had to stay there for 24 hours. And I had to wear a little pack on my side to measure the amount of stomach acid that was coming up into my throat because I had to get a hiatal hernia fixed. And I also had to get a valve put into the top of my stomach because I was born without one. And it was horrible. It was a horrible year for my esophagus. It was not good. It was not good. I had a robot on my hip and it went up into my nose and down into it and I had to sleep with that shit. I had to sleep with it. It was horrible.
However, this is the only time I could find, at least, of him talking about this traumatic as fuck detail to do with stomach acid, with most other mentions of shit going down his throat being for the purposes of checking if he had esophageal cancer.
This was me 5 years ago. There I am. Look at me. Young Thor. 5 years ago, Chad. 5 years ago. Young Thor. But I want you to hear this. When I hit 33, my voice dropped heavily. I actually went to a doctor to find out what was going on because I was worried I had vocal cord nodules, which can turn into cancer. That's like a whole thing, right? I was really, really concerned about it because my voice dropped very heavily, and you're about to hear it in a second here. They sent me to an ENT, which put a scope in my nose, and they used a camera to look at my vocal cords, and they're like, you're fine. And I was like, what? Like, why did my voice do this? And like, sometimes you have second puberty in your mid-30s. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, it could happen again when you're 60 as well. Listen to this. This is what I used to sound like.
My hot dogs are freshly picked. I'm gonna have to peel it.
That's real.
I'm gonna have to peel my hot dog.
Yeah.
I have to peel it.
I was all the way up in my own nose.
Every good hot dog needs to be peeled.
Enjoy that shit.
Every good hot dog needs to be peeled.
I'm doing it a little bit high-pitched for the meme, but...
You see, now that I've peeled the hot dog...
This is real.
It's ready to eat. That's right. It's ready to eat.
That is the worst... That's the worst thing I've ever done in my life. There you go. Yeah, that was my voice 5 years ago. My voice literally dropped.
A scope isn't the only tool that he said was used to check for cancer. He also claims they took a sample of his internal neck meat. His words, not mine.
So I went to the doctor because I was like, dude, I am really concerned about this. This scares the shit out of me. My voice is dropping. Like, what's happening? I'm in my mid-30s. Like, this is not supposed to be like this, right? And they're like, okay, we're going to send you to a specialist. They sent me to an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat doctor. And they put a camera in my nose, into my throat, and all this kind of shit. And they were like, hey, everything's fine. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, nothing's wrong with you. They took samples of my neck meat on the inside to like check for cancer and shit. They're like, no, you're fine. So they sent me back to the doctor. My doctor's like, hey, so sometimes in your early 30s, you can effectively go through second puberty. And it may happen to you again in your 60s, which is very horrifying because it basically means that in my 60s, I may just go all the way down here. And then this will be my normal voice at all times, just like this. Yeah, I'm scared of that happening, to be honest with you. Like, this will be an unattainable high-pitch range and it'll just be like down there as the baseline.
The odd thing is, much like the stomach acid detail, this cancer part of the explanation gets dropped entirely, with most recent explanations just focusing around the fear of having vocal nodules. Vocal nodules can develop into cancer, I guess, but there's also several clips of PirateSoftware claiming that the 6 or so years of talking on stream allowed him to tune his voice to be deeper.
My voice just dropped. That's all it came down to. And I think that's in large part because I was streaming 10 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week for 3 years. And also, you can get effectively second puberty as a guy in your early to mid-30s. Both of those things happen at once. That being said, Being able to talk on stream all the time means that I can control my voice quite well now, and then I can just pour butter on it anytime I want to, just like this. What do you think now, chat? Should I just talk like this from now on? Yeah, I mean, that's really all it is. You get a lot of voice control by being able to talk on stream all the time because your voice is an instrument. And since I can hear myself, it's an instrument. I can use that, right? Yeah.
Although what's notable is that he occasionally adds extra details on how his voice was tuned, such as the bizarre idea that he strengthened his neck muscles and that's what's deepened his voice.
Would you guys like to hear what it sounds like to stream for 6 years straight? This is going to upset everybody. I did have a shittier mic then. Understand something. After 3 years of streaming, when I was like 33 years old, I went to the doctor because my voice started dropping dramatically. And it actually was like, it was really hard to talk. It was really hard for anyone to hear me. Everything was weird. And I was super concerned about it. So I went to the doctor. They put a scope in my nose. They sent me to an ENT, put a scope in my nose, checked my vocal cords to see if I had any nodules, because I was streaming all the time, right? They'd check for those nodules to see if I basically had vocal cord cancer or a growth or anything like that, right? And I was fine. And my doctor told me that basically in your mid-30s, you can have second puberty and your voice can drop. And talking all the time also strengthens the muscles in your neck, which changes your voice over time as well. So with that in mind,
started flipping it back and forth, and it got jammed, and I pushed on it really hard, and I was holding it in my left hand, and it wasn't a metal light switch. It was a spring-loaded razor blade, and it cut the end of my middle finger off on my left hand.
That was my voice, and yes, that is true. The end of my middle finger is actually the palm of my hand.
As I stated previously, he is still pushing the second puberty explanation to this day. So here is the most recent, or I guess refined version that I could find from the 13th of June, 2025.
Why do people think you use a voice changer? Because people online believed that that was the case, because my voice used to be super high-pitched, like when I was younger. When I turned around 33, my voice dropped pretty hard, and I got afraid of it. Like, I was really concerned because it was deeper than this. It was like kind of like this all the time. And it was like really raspy, kind of like that sort of a thing, right? And I went to the doctor because I was like freaked out about it. And they put a scope in my nose. They looked at my vocal cords because they were looking for vocal cord nodules because like I talk on stream all day. And they were like, nope, nothing's wrong. And I was like, well, what causes this? And she was like, well, sometimes guys can go through a second puberty. And I thought that was hilarious. So I brought that up online in a short, and people were like, he's a liar, he uses a voice changer, Alex Jones. And then they freaked out, and like I just thought it was a funny thing for her to say, and the internet lost their minds. But no, my voice dropped. That's it. You know, like, that's about it. You know, like, have you done narrator stuff? A little bit. I did some of that for a game that we're publishing through Off-Brand Games right now. That's about it. But no, people have met me in person, and then like, there is a time when my voice does get higher pitched, and it's if I blow my voice out really bad. Like if I'm yelling a whole bunch, then my voice will be like kind of higher and raspy, and that's about it. That's the only time it'll go high pitched.
Now, I'm no doctor, but I'm like 99% certain that a second puberty is not a thing. And when the term is used, it's used to refer to the effects of aging. Do any of these symptoms of aging look anything like a second voice drop? Now, I'm fairly certain that he is virtually modifying his voice as well as cranking the bass up on his mic, as I will demonstrate shortly. But first, I want to play this clip from his Stream Awards appearance because I believe it also demonstrates that he forces his voice lower when he's talking.
God, yeah, you know, this actually is really heavy. Holy shit. So, it's honestly amazing to me that we even have a category now. Like, the software and game development category is incredible. You guys should definitely check it out. There's many more creators than just me in there. It's definitely not just me. So, it's incredible to me that you guys have voted for me for this, because a year ago, many people didn't even know I existed. And this has been one of the most amazing years I have ever had in my life. So thank you all very, very much. Seriously. And for those of you out there that want to make games, you have a home for that now on Twitch. You have this category for you to do that. And it doesn't mean you have to make an amazing game. You just have to make your game. Make it bad. It's okay. And then make a better one. And just keep doing it. So, I can't wait to play what you guys make. And thank you all very much.
You can hear the hints of his real voice, and it does sound like his pitch is slowly increasing the longer that he's on stage, but yeah, it's obviously significantly deeper than it's supposed to sound if he was speaking with like a relaxed throat or something. As I mentioned though, he is also virtually modifying his voice on stream, and you can see that from when it breaks in clips such as this one.
Glorious luck. Do you hear that? Do you hear that sound? Shit.
It was a shiny. I thought he would live. I thought he would live.
Man, this guy sucks at covering his tracks. Is there anything he's good at? Why would you even edit this into a short in the first place? Like, it just so clearly displays how modified his voice is.
It was a shiny. I thought he would live. I thought he would live.
Oh, also on another note, did you know that PirateSoftware worked on the show Mr. Robot? Well, I lied, he didn't, but he seems to think that they used his work without crediting him.
As an OPSEC specialist, how accurate is Mr. Robot? I don't like Mr. Robot. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't like Mr. Robot. I don't like Mr. Robot because they took some information that they should not have taken from a write-up that I did on some puzzles that I solved at DEF CON, and then they put them into an episode of the show, and I found out about it. And the only source for that knowledge was my write-up. Don't do that. You're bad, Mr. Robot. You'll always be bad. Always. Yeah. Do you want to know what the solution for that was? Do you want to know what one of the solutions for that was? It was the Puzzle Master's personal cell phone number, to which he got thousands of calls. Maybe don't put things in your episode if you don't know what it is. Maybe don't do that, idiots.
Interesting. Well, looking further into it, there is a second short in which he elaborates on this claim.
All right, so the reason I don't like Mr. Robot. This right here is my write-up for the DEF CON 22 Badge Challenge. Went viral as hell inside of the hacking community. And it was because I listed out everything that we did as a team and showed the world the brilliance of Lost, who is the creator of these challenges. And the first thing you can see here is a number-letter cipher. So 1 would be A, 2 would be B, so on and so forth. And you can see at the end of this, these last pieces of 1057, 1057, Lost's name is 1057. He goes by Lost, and 1057 is his handle. That is his signature at the end of this. And now let's go to Mr. Robot's Twitter. Understand that this was the only place in the world that this was listed. Mr. Robot reposted this right here. That's that same string, but what did they leave off the end? His signature. This is the same as taking an artist and removing their signature from their piece of art. They made it public to millions of Mr. Robot fans. And those people went and found all of the breadcrumbs that led after this, which led to Lost's personal phone number. He got tens of thousands of calls from fans of Mr. Robot thinking Mr. Robot was running an ARG. And I stopped watching the show as a result. And they never took it down. Absolute dog shit.
Okay, so this is just blatant misinformation. I have no idea if all of it is an intentional lie or if some of it's just because Jason is a fucking moron. It is true that Season 2, Episode 11 of Mr. Robot cites a DEF CON cipher, and the Mr. Robot account did indeed tweet a string of letters used for the puzzle, without the creator's signature on it. Have a guess as to why they did that though, because it wasn't plagiarism. The guy who designed the DEF CON puzzle was a consultant for the Mr. Robot show because they wanted authenticity when it came to depicting the hacking. They had left the Puzzle Master's signature out, as well as some other details from my understanding, because it allowed people to find the Puzzle Master's phone number. Contrary to what he claims, Pirate Software's quirky potato Tumblr site was not the only place you could find a fucking DEF CON puzzle. It's a DEF CON puzzle. DEF CON is the largest hacking event globally. Pirate Software explicitly claimed in his shorts that the show doxed the Puzzle Master and he subsequently received a bunch of phone calls. But this is an obvious lie because the Puzzle Master's phone number was not included in the Mr. Robot version of the puzzle. Do you know where the phone number was included though? Pirate Software's quirky potato Tumblr page that he is now drawing attention to with his YouTube shorts and TikToks. Truly a genius we're working with here.
Maybe don't put things in your episode if you don't know what it is. Maybe don't do that. Idiots.
Speaking of DEF CON, that's another part of Pirate Software's identity that's seemingly fragile. He always talks about how he won all these awards and solved puzzles at DEF CON, but he always seems to forget to mention the fact that he is in a team of like 9 other people. How much of the actual solving and work did Pirate Software contribute to solving these DEF CON puzzles? Because considering it's displayed throughout this video, I cannot imagine a lot of it. Another thing I wanted to mention was the Dr. K interview that I've used a couple clips from. It's honestly fucking fascinating.
So when I'm in the emergency room, someone is high on crystal meth and calling me an ass fucker or whatever. Sorry, maybe that was too much.
I was predisposed to dislike Dr. K due to some dramas that I have no interest in going into right now, but I do have to say that his conversation with Pirate Software was not only intriguing, but impressive from Dr. K's behalf. Especially if Dr. K's claim about having next to no context going into the conversation is true, because despite being fed bullshit by Jason the entire time, Dr. K manages to read Pirate Software like a book and see through his various defenses and deflections.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase. Sure. This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this. Yeah. That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Okay. I don't see it that way, but all right.
If you have the time, I recommend watching it, especially after having watched this very video in which I gave all the context for the fractured puzzle that Pirate Software is laying out and Dr. K is having to piece together. Anyway, even if he's lying about his claimed hacking achievements, video game achievements, ex-marriage, ferret persona, voice, at least he's undeniably a successful streamer, right? Unless he also lied about an element of that. Yeah, well, it turns out he may have faked an element of that as well, as Pirate Software accidentally exposed himself to have been working with that aforementioned mod Kronos to artificially sustain a hype train. Yeah, I'll just play the clip in which he accidentally exposes himself and then explain.
Place my head between them and go full burr mode and make...
What? What? What is this? Where is it?
Yeah, this dumb fuck pulled the DMs up on his own stream. Essentially, a Twitch hype train is this goofy-ass system on Twitch which is supposed to encourage viewers to give money to the creator. A timer ticks down and any money donated in the form of bits, subscriptions, gifted subscriptions, etc. adds seconds back to the timer. PirateSoftware previously held the record for longest hype train. However, as you can see within these Discord DMs, it kinda seems as if he was working with his mod Kronos to add a metric shitload of time to it. PirateSoftware went on to respond to this claim by stating that his mod Kronos was simply asking how to donate to the stream, and PirateSoftware was just instructing him on the best way to do so, which, yeah, sure, Jason. Anyway, I mentioned the last part that I would expand upon PirateSoftware's aversion to being called a Nepo baby, so let me do that. On July 9th, 2024, Mashable published an article written by a guy called Steven Asak titled How PirateSoftware Gained Nearly 2 Million Subscribers in 6 Months. The article lays out his history and, in my humble opinion, glazes the absolute living fuck out of PirateSoftware. Like, he is quite possibly the last person I would describe as having a down-to-earth persona. This, however, was apparently not enough for Jason, because according to Steven, the author, PirateSoftware reached out to Mashables and requested that they had the words Nepo baby removed from the article. Steven hopped on ChudLogic's stream to share this fact, which got posted as a clip on the Livestream Fails subreddit.
He claimed the article was full of factual inaccuracies. He actually contacted the event that I had interviewed him at and had the event reach out to me in an attempt to try to get the fact that I called him a Nepo baby taken out of the article. That has never happened before or since.
PirateSoftware was subsequently prompted to make this statement in regards to it.
Yeah, really not a fan of that. Not a fan of that. It's one of those things that I've been trying to fight my entire career. It's one of the things that I've had to argue with people in chat about. It's one of the things that we ban people for here. Anytime people say shit like that, because it's deeply disrespectful and it completely overwrites any of the things that I've done throughout my career as something that is somebody else's success, which they have not been in any possible respect. And it's just rude as fuck. So, what do you say? In the thing, he said it was he called me a Nepo baby in his article. No, that's dog shit behavior. Really gross.
The only gross dog shit behavior I see is exuding from you, Jason. Steven was pretty clear in the article that being a Nepo baby was just a helping hand in PirateSoftware's career and did not overwrite all of the other achievements that he's laying out in the article. It was one sentence in a several paragraph long article. The fact that PirateSoftware got so fucking butthurt by it and is even stating his fear of it overriding all of his achievements only serves to make me believe that there may be more truth to that thought than I initially anticipated. Additionally, let me bring back up the Joker situation. Like, if Jason is going to freak out this much about an article to the extent that he's going to reach out and attempt to have it altered, then how out of the realm of possibility is it that he reported Joker's video for calling him a coffee delivery boy? Also, if his career is built on the achievements of his father, why is he such a bad son to him then?
But since you did, last month was my birthday and you missed it, you didn't call me, neither did your brother. You guys both ignored me for my birthday.
That isn't true. I sent you a text.
No, you did not.
Bullshit.
That was last year.
Bullshit.
I got nothing. You sent me one last year.
Did I send you one last year? Am I a shitty son? Oh man. Yeah. It was last year. Wow.
I want everybody to know that Thor did not say anything to his father for his birthday a month ago.
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't text you anything after that last happy birthday, so it's still the same one. It still counts.
Your logic sucks.
This is the caliber of clip that people are pulling up on Jason at this point. It's all because he's too fucking ego-driven to apologize or acknowledge fault for anything that he's done. This mass internet fallout was inevitable because Jason can't help but be insufferable. However, it is funny to me that it was accelerated into fruition by roaching out of a dungeon in World of Warcraft and an obsession with being the smartest guy in the room when it came to stop killing games.
Put up a video saying you were wrong with every situation and the internet move on. I am not doing that. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, simply bend the knee and lie about how you feel and everyone will stop bullying you. That's a great idea, dude. Yeah, no, eat shit.
PirateSoftware lies as easy as he breathes about anything and everything from his past employment to his voice. He allows a defense mechanism to sound more interesting, to further his own agenda, or to discredit someone or something in the case of Stop Killing Games. His game, Heartbound, is a spaghetti code unfinished mess that he's used to rip his fans, or more accurately, customers, off of thousands. He's, from what I can tell, greedy to the extent that he's implemented a Steam achievement-based DRM in order to, ironically, prevent piracy. However, in practice, only serves to make his incomplete single-player indie game unplayable off of Steam, or completely unplayable if Steam was to make a mere couple changes to their API. Maldavius Figtree, the furry nepo baby, is ego-driven to the extent that he can't even take accountability for a simple fuck-up in a video game, and is more than happy to tell his deranged fantasies of his supposed mage skills, or hacking into the EVE Online API to read through his guildmates' messages. PirateSoftware has shown a liking to deleting evidence and abusing copyright or his imaginary connections of Blizzard to shamelessly threaten or even DMCA other creators who criticize or make fun of him. This is despite the fact that he challenges people to come at him or his properties because he's a self-reported seasoned internet veteran who can take anything that's thrown his way. Jason Thor, in quotation marks, Hall is a pathetic crybaby who cannot help but victimize himself despite his completely unwarranted arrogant aggression towards those he considers less skilled or intelligent than himself. For all these reasons and more that I'm sure I'm missing, the hate or criticism that PirateSoftware is getting from pretty much every part of the internet right now is not only deserved, but completely self-inflicted, and is not an organized hate raid, as PirateSoftware would classify it. If it isn't obvious by the length of this video, I fucking hate this guy more than a lot of the people that I've covered, and it's just based on the fact that he didn't need to be an insufferable wretch at every turn. He chose to be. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is a fucking long one. I'll see you in the next video with the grand finale of the ACC saga, Just a Robot. Like or dislike the video depending on how you felt about it, subscribe to the notification bell hit to be notified of my future uploads, feel free to leave a comment with feedback or criticism, and thank you to the 4 big dogs who have generously paid for a membership to my channel. NoDoz, Miss Fox McCoy, You Can Do It Too, and Doo Head. Also Corey Hum, I have you to thank for my continued existence.
He doesn't even have a single mention of me. Just making shit up. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, he's just insane. Okay, no, he did actually talk about me. I'll just send him over to my legal team. Whatever, man. Have fun.